shit. You can feel it.
Thanks a million.
Thanks a million. With the big stretchy. What up, what up? Eating din din? What are you eating? Yo, my friends. What's going on? What you just heard there was the completely original 1 million subscriber special song made specifically for you guys called Thanks a Millie by the great Inect, who also helps me master all the awesome audio over on the podcast side of things. So if you guys want to listen to that track individually, I'm going to link it here into chat. It's over on my Let's Read Clips channel, which I hope you guys have subscribed to that, which is just individual videos from the individual stories turned into individual videos over on Let's Read Clips. But I figured, hey, it'd be a great place for that music video to live by itself. Inga Moonchild, welcome back for 29 months. Oh my goodness, congrats on 1 million subscribers. Thank you, Inga. We did it. We did it. We made it. We're here. David De La Rosa with the 2 says, hi Joe, what's up, buddy? What's up, David? What's going on? Michaela, thank you. Thank you, thank you. Did I do a feet reveal on that last vid? Yeah, did you see my feet? They were riding on that scooter. That tech deck scooter. My fursona, yeah. My fursona is very fierce. You do not want to frick with it. Hey, Sydney. 1 million subscribers means you are legally obligated to perform 1 million push-ups. All right, starting now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I remember I looked up the other day. Didn't we look up the other day how long it would take to count to 1 million? And I think it took somebody like 8 straight days of just counting. Can't imagine how long it would take to do 1 million push-ups. How many you could even fit into a day with that? I mean, I feel like you would have to like break it up over the course of like weeks, depending on how good you were. Going to your like absolute limit on fucking push-ups. But I guess you would get pretty good at them. Or your whole chest. What's my push-up PR? I think the most I ever did was in a row was like in the 50s. Or no, actually, I guess on the stream here, didn't we? Does anybody remember? Whenever I was like slowly building up, we did a good amount of them. We would do 1 more each stream, but I feel like 50 in the 50s was where things got a little precarious. Your record was 65, 69, nice. And Hitsubasa with the 2 says, here's to seeing you to 2 million. Thank you, Hitsubasa. We are on our way. We're already at the One Punch Man workout. Funnily enough, I'm like working out with my buddy, and he has a son who's like in 8th grade, and he'll see us working out. I'm like, let's go, get in here, and like, but then the other night he told his dad that he's been doing 100 squats and 100 sit-ups every day, every night, I said, yo, that sounds a lot like the One Punch Man workout, minus the push-ups. It's kind of hilarious to think, like, at the end of the day, anime is probably going to be more influential in somebody's mind than, like, your own parents, you know? You bike for an hour. I've been exercising a few months. This is a new milestone for me. Nice, that's awesome. Yeah, biking is so satisfying, I feel like, because, you know, you get that hard uphill battle here and there, and you can make it kind of as hard as you want. But sometimes it's just nice to cruise, you know? Get out there, get some sun, get the blood flowing. Bless you, Joel, and bless you 1 million subscribers. I'm not even going to ask for money. I ain't like that. Just eat of my flesh and drink of my blood. That's my fetish. Oh, Yeshua. You crazy. Anime rules my existence. It tells me what to do. It turns me into a destroyer of worlds. You're a little drunk, how am I? I'm good. You know, I remember I used to drink kombucha and kind of feel like a little bit of buzz from kombucha. Wort. But, I don't feel that anymore. And then the last stream, I had that whiskey, or that bourbon, but I guess because it was like sitting in a cabinet for so long, even though technically it doesn't have an expiration date, I almost feel like I felt more of a feeling from it on the first sip, and then the rest of it I just like felt nothing. We all have our fetish, you know, that's true. I'm sure it's just kind of built into all of us. What's all the stones smoking on? Who's that? Somebody smoking stones? Smoking rock? Criggity crack. Pradeep's fetish. Toe beans. Today it was actually really cute. Like, since I don't really use a chair anymore for my computer stuff, whenever I do sit down in it to like watch something on the computer, he'll actually have the opportunity to jump up on me, and I had him just like sitting in my lap, you know, almost like actually like sitting, and he like fell asleep there while I was rubbing his belly and little chest, little toe beans, but he was feeling that. You should try mezcal. You might like it as a form of tequila. Never heard of it. I don't know about tequila though. That can make you a little wild. It is interesting how different alcohols make you feel different kinds of ways. What's your guys' favorite alcohol? Alcohol, ho. I'm going to link that song again in case you guys want to go over there. But I'm going to talk about it in tomorrow's video and like a preamble thing, letting people know to go over to Let's Read Clips, but also to check out the music video. But I'm also hoping by tomorrow the song will be up on like all of the major streaming platform stuffs, so people can listen to it other places as well. That would be dope. That would be Pope. What streaming platforms are we talking about? You know, like for music and stuff, like Spotify, and I mean, obviously now it's on YouTube Music because everything kind of goes through YouTube for that. But, you know, all the typical ones. I actually don't know what they are. Spotify, Music Buddy. You have an existential crisis when you drink, so you avoid it. Dude, I feel you on that one. That's kind of how I feel whenever I smoke marijuana. I'm always in my own head. I mean, we do think of some pretty funny shit, though. Love craft beers, too. HP Lovecraft beers. Oh, that'd be a good one. Somebody should make a really dark craft beer. It's like a Lovecraft beer. I'm sure it already exists somewhere. Some nerd made it. If it's gonna be on Spotify, it will be hella listened to by me. Oh, okay, perfect. Yeah, I'll be sure to, in tomorrow's video, put that all in the description where you can find it. We haven't had alcohol in years, but I liked soju. What's soju? Never heard of it. You got an Oregon guava vape cartridge, Moon Rocks. Oh, interesting. Vape Nation. There was like this one. I was thinking of Vape Nation. I was thinking like H3H3. And I just remember there was like some girl, like my review of H3H3. And she, at one point she was like, shh, that's me. That's me sleeping because your stuff is so boring. I don't know. It's silly. Have you ever thought about doing urban exploring live stream? Oh, like me going in? You know who does that? What the hell's his name? Mr. Spooks, I think? I forget his name. I feel stupid forgetting his name because we've collaborated together. But he does, shares like spooky videos, commentary and stuff, kind of like Slapped Ham and Chills and stuff. This song reminds you a lot of Massive Attack. Let's see, who's this? Oh, it doesn't have it listed. Or maybe it does. Yeah. I do remember. Yeah, Sir Spooks. There you go. Yeah, he does the whole urban exploring thing. Nexpo did a recent urban exploring. That's cool. I saw that he went to the Creator Clash 2. But I feel like the Creator Clash 2 didn't really have me, you know, pulled in quite as much. You know what I mean? I didn't know any of those creators at all who were boxing. If Nexpo boxes that dad guy, I'll buy a ticket and fly out there to watch that incognito. That'd be fun. The Hitsubasa with the two says, when you get your plaque, any idea? So I believe I was talking to my manager, YouTube manager, which is so nice to have, by the way. And they said that after about a week, it should pop up within the editing studio where you upload videos and stuff. So I will be able to access that through there and kind of put in the necessary info. And Kim Sandlin with the 5 says, congrats on 1 million subscribers, Joel. You totally deserve it and are so professional. How did Buttersock Cult originate? Bro, I don't even know. Nobody knows. Just like most cults, there just really is no knowledge to its origin. It's just, we simply have faith in it. We trust. Trust, bruv. Trust me. How does one get a YouTube manager? Yeah, it's at like a certain, I believe at a certain size and certain criteria. I think over 100,000 subscribers, and you'll get like an email applying for it. But you got to be careful sometimes, because even that one, I couldn't tell if it was like a scam email or not, and they had to like verify it. It was weird. Chris Wilcox with the 5 says, congrats on the 1 million. I'm trying to cut back the alcohol, but tonight the Pate Patron is making me feel relaxed. That's good. Sometimes you guys gotta cut loose. I'm not a huge alcohol guy, but I do appreciate a little buzz from time to time. Have you ever seen American Horror Story, and is it any good? You know, the first season I remember watching through. I'm not sure if I finished it all the way. And then I remember watching the last episode, the season finale. I don't know what season it was, but it was of Coven. Well, I guess it was the Coven one, because they're all like different, which is actually kind of cool because it's like a new show each time. It's a great idea. But it was about like witches and shit, and that was a pretty good episode. I remember I was working night shift, and I was hanging out with my buddy. We went to his place after, and all of his roommates and us, like, it was just funny because we were like quote unquote staying up late, but it's like by staying up late for us, it was fucking like 2 p.m. because we worked overnight. So it's just funny staying up to watch somebody dissect a frog. Tippy, welcome to the Butter Sock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. You want to see it so bad, but I don't have it on any platforms. Oh, okay. Yeah, I always forget about that. I don't really watch a lot of like stuff or streaming stuff, but I just always assume, I don't know, you could probably like, isn't there, well, I don't want to encourage people to like torrent stuff or like, but I feel like there's so many crazy websites that are like, have it all for free and it's like super curated and almost like better laid out than Netflix. It's kind of crazy. Meek Melita, thank you. Appreciate you. It's on Hulu and Netflix. Oh, okay. Well, there you go. Who's Puff Puff passing in the chat? This music is just a jam. I know, right? This is like 21 million views, and for a reason. It's called Liquid Drum and Bass Mix number 60. Which is crazy. It took them till the 60th volume to really pop off. But I don't know, these mix channels are interesting because it's like, do they make any money off of it? You know, they're just kind of like mixing people's stuff together. But presumably the artists, you know, they all split the revenue or something through their YouTube system. Lindy Ross, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Thank you, Lindy. And that guy with the 5 said, let's go. 1 million. Congrats. Well deserved. Thank you. Thank you, that guy. Appreciate you. Boom, 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 boom. I started studying to become a mortician, and your lives and videos have helped me focus while I study. Oh, that's good. Yeah. For me, whenever I studied, I always needed like stuff like this, like music that didn't have words. Because I always feel like the words would take my mind somewhere. But other people have said my voice kind of like is a bit of a droning sound. So it's sort of like feels a little bit like music, I guess. Where you, it's a, I don't know, like a neutral vibe that doesn't like interfere with thought too much. So you can really get into playing Minecraft. Lovey, Dovey, Bunny with the 2. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And Box of Sorrows, oh shit, with the 10. It says, to the man who figured out how to make a roughly 15-hour work week a reality. Congrats, and thank you for all you do, my friend. Thank you, Box of Sorrows, I appreciate you. Good to see you. How you doing? We did it. We done did it. Who in the Champions League? Which Champions League is that? Football. Also 30 seconds. We're gonna kick this off. We got 7 graduation stories here tonight, and I believe people are coming up on graduation pretty soon here. I believe, at least in college, it usually takes place in like mid-May or some shit. There's the plaque in the mail. My plague. They're sending me a golden plague. Did you see the Starship explosion earlier today? No, was that like Elon Musk related stuff? I don't know. I think I saw something earlier. It was like trending Grimes, and it's like Grimes watching the SpaceX stuff take off or whatever, and a big explosion, her smiling or something, big explosion. I'm just like, you guys are so fucking corny. It's just like, I don't know, like people's obsession with like other people's lives and like their relationships and like the drama between them and like that association to then extending out to their professional lives. It's like such a weird thing to me. Like, leave these people alone. Joel, change screen time. It is. Let's do it. Once again, that was the Liquid Drum and Bass Mix number 60 on the Sound Territory YouTube channel. How was my day? It was a good day. Good day. Got my lift in. And I don't know. Ronaldo is a crying bird. Oh, okay, it is. You were talking about, that's the Champions League then? Football. I just don't watch football. I don't know. I watch American football. As one does when they're born here. Right? Am I right? Right, mate? Righto, mate? What'd I lift? We did shoulder press. And I've slowly been doing a 5x5 progression on like weighted pull-ups. And I'm up to 30 pounds for 5 sets of 5, just around your waist. That's been pretty interesting, because it's weird. It's almost like the exact same amount of like difficulty each week, but also between each set too. It's like never easy in the beginning. It's just hard. I don't know. I don't really, which is confusing for pull-ups. And lovely Dovey Bunny with the 2 says, congrats on hitting 1 million, Joel. Well deserved. Thank you, lovely. Very lovely of you. Pass me your Hulu password. I'm sure you could find somebody to give, well, I don't know if you could put it in here, but I'm sure you could find a friend through some means to give you the Hulu hookup. All right, let's get it. Let's get it. Schnowie. Didn't have a graduation in 2020, so fill the void. Man, that shit's so fucking lame, dude. Just, it's like weird looking back on the fever dream that was COVID. So ridiculous. And Prime 80 with the 5 says, congrats again, dude. Wondering, does the Butter Sock cult still meet last Sunday of the month in your backyard? We bring the socks, you supply the butter. It's all homemade butter, Prime. It's all homemade. You don't have to worry about a thing. And thank you for the 5. If movie directors listened to you, they could create real scary movies. Yeah, right? We can make something happen. You know what was interesting, though? I was talking to... I don't know if anybody here is familiar with that whole process, but, like, you know, I've talked about how sick it would be to, like, start a, you know, just a little small indie studio kind of thing. But I feel like I need you guys to, like, help me brainstorm what it means to, like, what would it mean to be successful within the realm of like short film production? Because I thought it would be sick. You start a little, because, you know, working with the animator yesterday for that music video was such an awesome experience, you know, and he did such a fantastic job with, like, pretty much just, you know, over the course of a few months with his, and granted it was only like 2 minutes of animation, but it was just all incredibly intense and crazy. And I was thinking, like, well, what if you had like a team of people, you know, like what could you create in that period of time? Because I thought it would be sick. What if you made like some sort of anthology of horror, like horror anthologies, but like animated stuff? Because I was watching the one with the Junji Ito one on Netflix, and I wasn't a very big fan of it, you know what I mean? There was something about it that, like, certainly had a degree of unsettlingness to it, but it almost felt not very, I don't know, it just felt like kind of like something you would see on Nickelodeon, I guess. Anthology is, in my opinion, like, I don't know, just, whenever I watch stuff like Love, Death, and Robots, that shit is inspiring to me, because it's just, I don't know, there's certain ones that just hit, and you're just like, that was fucking amazing. Make really good adult animated horror series. It'd be interesting, but, like, do you have to start, like, its own separate GoFundMe, its own separate Patreon thing? Like, what would be, I mean, I guess at the end of the day, as long as you make it, but, like, do you put it on YouTube? Do you put it on Vimeo or some shit, since it's more professional? Like, do you hope that it gets bought up by a network or something, but since everyone's already seen it, no one's going to want to watch it on a network? Like, how do you gauge success within that realm, you know? Which episodes caught your attention more than others? You know, I still really specifically remember the one where that, like, person, and this is some spoilers for that show, but it's a great fucking show, and even if I tell you, it's still worth seeing, but basically the one dude that was floating through space for a period of time, and then you come to find that a bunch of ships go off course through space, and they end up in this sort of like spider web of you know, meteor debris that it goes through, and there's like some sort of spider creature that like makes them hallucinate while they're inside their cocoon of sorts, and then they just like slowly are draining the life from them while they're essentially living in like a heaven, you know, but it takes a long time for them to be digested. But it's like essentially providing them with a hallucinogenic sort of perspective of like their perfect world within their mind, which I just found that so incredibly disturbing, but like really fascinating at the same time. And then there was one where these like some sort of like almost D&D type world where these shippers were, they were out in the old scuttle type boat thing, and they were like, I forget what they were hunting specifically, but then a giant fucking enemy crab, comes out of nowhere and like blasts on their ship and like fucks them up, and then it like smashes down below deck and like essentially just like lives down there, but it would like grab the dead bodies of people that it's killed and like just like possess it to like speak to the other people and tell it what it wants. It wants to be fed by, so they were, I don't know, that one was just fucking intense. Lynn with the 2 says, let's skid it. I'm baked as fuck as cake. Love you, Jolie Play. Thank you, Lynn. Thank you. Baked like a snake. I'm curious though, like what goes into the coordination, the logistics of like making something like Love, Death, and Robots. I assume they have multiple fucking studios all doing their own thing at one time. Do you drink coffee? If so, do you prefer iced or hot? Do you espresso or not? What is your go-to that gets you going? I loved hot. Anything hot, really. Even though when I drink energy drinks, I'll drink cold ones. But when it comes to coffee, it's got to be hot. Just because sometimes about hot coffee sort of, I feel like penetrates your vasculature a lot faster. But at the same time, sometimes I don't really feel anything with coffee in general. I just kind of like it. You got a stomach bug, Kai. I'm sorry to hear that. I hope you feel better. The graduation party was in full swing, the room filled with laughter and the joyful chatter of friends and family. I stood by the bar sipping on my drink when I noticed her. She was stunning, with long dark hair and a smile that could light up the room. We made eye contact and she approached me with an air of confidence that I found captivating. We struck up a conversation and I learned that her name was Emily. She had just graduated with a degree in psychology, and we quickly found common ground in our shared love of music and film. The chemistry between us was undeniable, and as the night went on, we grew closer. Eventually, Emily suggested that we head back to her place for a little nightcap. Excited by the prospect of getting to know her better, I agreed, and we left the party hand in hand. As we arrived in her apartment, I couldn't help but feel a sense of unease. The building was old and run down, a stark contrast to the vibrant and charming woman that I had just met. I shrugged off my apprehension and followed her inside, eager to continue our conversation in a more intimate setting. Besides, sometimes, especially while in college, you can't control where you live. Emily led me into her living room, where we sat down and continued to chat. As the minutes ticked by, I began to notice something strange about her behavior. She seemed increasingly agitated, her eyes darting around the room as if though she was searching for something. Curious, I asked her if everything was all right. She hesitated for a moment, then confided in me that she had been experiencing some troubling events in her life. She explained that she had been receiving mysterious phone calls and unsettling messages from some unknown source. As she spoke, I felt a chill run down my spine. The atmosphere in the apartment had just shifted, and I could sense the fear it gripped her. She showed me some of the messages that she received, and my heart raced as I read the words. Despite my own fear, I felt a strong urge to protect her. I offered to stay with her for the night to provide some comfort and reassurance. You'll do all sorts of crazy things when the heart overrides the brain's logic. She hesitated, then agreed, a lot of relief crossing her face. As the night wore on, we heard strange noises coming from the other rooms. Footsteps, creaking doors, and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. Each sound sent shivers down our spines, and we clung to each other for comfort. As crazy as it may seem, it sounded like someone was literally in the room next to ours. In the early hours of the morning, as the noises grew louder and more frequent, I decided to finally investigate. I crept through the dark apartment, my heart pounding in my chest. As I reached the hallway, I noticed a door that had been left slightly ajar. I pushed it open, revealing a room that looked like it had been almost ransacked. The walls were covered in paint and holes, and a collection of objects and trinkets lay scattered across the floor. The horrifying truth began to sink in. Emily may be in serious trouble. As I turned to confront her, she stood in the doorway, and her eyes were filled with fear. She admitted that she had not been entirely honest with me. I tried to ask her what exactly was going on, but she seemed distant and confused and even angry. I heard the door to Emily's apartment open, and the sound of a bigger person could be heard barreling down the hall. There's the first throat squeak of the evening. Andrew A., welcome back for 11 months. I'll be honest, I'm not a true 11-month member. I listen to your off-stream more than I make these streams, just how my schedule is. No worries, Andrew. I appreciate you. Good to see you. Good to see you. Joel doesn't care much for the pot weeds. Nothing against it. If people get high around me, I like to make them laugh, you know what I mean? As opposed to myself, I feel like, I don't know. I remember sometimes I would get high and my hands would shake. I was like, holy shit, do I have Parkinson's now? I didn't, but for a little while I thought they may have laced my weed with some type of Parkinsonian drug. It's always a good feeling to have when you're smoking with friends and you wonder if they laced your specific puff with something. They smoked it too, but it was that little fucking nugget of sticky icky that had the formaldehyde on it. Bro, you are a sorrow killer. Oh, thank you. I like to take sorrow and cut its freaking head off. Whoa! Andrew Insomniac with the 10 big ones says, thank you for all the masterpieces I meant, and my renewal is because I update and renew it every other month because of how much I don't make stream. Oh, I see. But you helped me through personal life and work life. Being a security patrol officer make my nights. Thank you, Andrew. I appreciate you. And no worries at all. I appreciate that we can get you through the nights. I can be the voice to keep your head on a swivel, thinking paranoid thoughts. What you should do is you should have 2 holsters for 2 guns. That's what police officers should have, is fucking 2 guns, one on the right and one on the left, so you can dual wield. That'd be fucking sick. And then also spin the gun around on your fingers too. They should teach that in the academy, just like some old West shit, and how to shoot cans off of people's heads. Just to let them know, you know what I mean? Chrissy Meowery with the 10 says, I finally made it to Alive. I miss them, Joel, Pradeep, and my Buttersalt Cult family. Hope all is well with everyone. Congrats on 1 milli, Joel. So long overdue. Sending all the love. Thank you, Chrissy. I appreciate that. Always good to see you. And Rach with welcome back for 5 months says, you're my favorite narrator. Hope you had a great day. Thank you, Rach. Today was awesome. Today was a fantastic day. It was really nice here, actually. I think it's going to start dropping back down. Well, we've just had weird days where it's been like 70s, 80s, and then suddenly back down in the 40s and 50s. But I guess that's kind of how April usually progresses, these sort of back and forths till eventually it settles in May on being springtime. A moment of appreciation for Robin making the cop lights you asked for the previous number. Yeah, I know. Isn't he sick? You just ask him to do anything. He's like, oh, sure, I'll fix that in like 3 seconds. Boop, bop, beep, beep, bop. Here you go. It's been getting colder even here in Florida. It's still getting down to like 60s. Interesting. Yeah, my friends, they moved down there kind of towards Tampa. And they were saying that pretty much just 2 seasons. Summer and super summer. Beast Kid with the 5 says, hey Jolio, how are you? Also, what did I miss? Not too much. We're only a wee ways into the first story here. And Rowdy Rowdy, welcome back for 3 months in the Buttersock Cult. I heard the door to Emily's apartment open, and the sound of a bigger person could be heard barreling down the hall. As I stood there, helpless, watching and listening to this all unfold, I looked up and noticed Emily, who now looked even more visibly upset. She looked up at me and mouthed the words, "I'm so sorry." Before I knew it, the person of the strange and terrorizing noises made himself known. It was a large, bald man with a huge red beard. He greeted Emily with a disgraceful insult and started asking her questions about things like, "Did you accomplish your task yet?" When Emily didn't answer right away, the man seemed to become irate and turned his attention away from me and looked his eyes on Emily. I knew that was my only moment to act in this weird situation. I grabbed some wooden debris that was on the ground and hit the man over the head, which was hard enough to knock the man over and keep him dazed for a minute. Emily screamed. She told me to run, so I did. I then realized that the horrifying truth was not that Emily was some sort of monster, but she appeared to be a victim, trapped in some cycle of fear and manipulation. As I reached the door, I told Emily to come with me, and in some moment of heroism, she agreed and left that man moaning in pain on the ground. In the days and weeks that followed, we faced numerous challenges as we worked to sever Emily. Dude, what the fuck is going on? Like, what the actual fuck is going on? This sounds like some... I can't... Like, what is going on? Like, this... whatever. Beaver! Welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. Yeah, I guess maybe it is Emily's pimp. It's just the way they're doing it. This, like, sounds like an r/nice guys write-up from fucking Reddit. I then looked upon her lovely eyes, and I gazed deep into them, and I saw the culprit. How dareth he lay hands upon Emily? How dareth he? In the days and weeks that followed, we faced numerous challenges as we worked to sever Emily's ties with this dysfunctional man, and I learned a lot about Emily and the many horrible things she and this man would do to people like me. He would use Emily to lure men into this rundown apartment, and then jump them and rob them. Emily wasn't a grad student like she claimed at the grad party, and she dropped out a couple of years ago due to this guy. Emily just re-enrolled in school and is excited to start her future free of this monster. Even though this was the most terrifying night of my entire life, I'm thankful that it happened. As a result of this graduation party, I met Emily, and together we brought that red-bearded monster to justice. But through it all, we grew closer, and our bond forged in this crucible of fear. Sure, I guess. I don't even know. I just, like, don't know what to say about that shit. Like, what, was Emily on drugs? Like, did she have to get clean? Like, you know what I mean? Like, she just saw a guy with a red beard, and she's like, yeah, that's the guy I want to just own me, even though I was in college. It's just, I don't know. It seemed like it was like, you're in, like, a writing class, and you're like, let me try to make this as Shakespearean as possible. Let me speed run Shakespeare this shit. Yeah, like a white knight fantasy. Yeah, it's really weird. We crave drama. It had been a long day at school, and the sun was setting as I sat in my classroom just grading papers. I was a high school history teacher, and though I loved my job, it came with its fair share of challenges. One of those challenges was a particular student, James, who was struggling to keep his grades up. He was a bright kid with potential, but his recent lack of focus was jeopardizing his chances of graduating. James was one of those kids that clearly understood the material but put zero effort into his work. The previous afternoon, I spoke with James and told him that to graduate, he would need to make a major effort in the last week of class. I gave the kid a chance to write an essay on any topic he wanted that we covered in the year, and that I would give him enough credit so he could graduate with his peers. He seemed unresponsive, but just sort of nodded his head. As I marked the last paper and packed up my things, I really couldn't shake the uneasy feeling that I was being watched. I glanced around the empty classroom, but there was no one there. I dismissed the feeling as sort of a product of my tired mind and locked up the classroom before heading to my car. I thought perhaps my conversation with James had been just weighing on me. I had only been teaching for several years at this point, but I had never had to fail anyone, and I really didn't want to start now. The feeling persisted over the next couple of days. I found myself constantly looking over my shoulder, feeling eyes on me even when I was alone. At first, I thought it was my imagination, but then I began to notice things that made me question my own sanity. Little things, like finding my desk rearranged, or the sense that someone had been in my car when I knew I had locked it. Each incident really was minor, but it started to add up, creating an unnerving sense of dread that settled over me. And one evening, as I was leaving school, I noticed a figure kind of lurking in the shadows, and the figure seemed to be following me, always staying just out of sight. My heart raced as I hurried to my car, fumbling with my keys. As I drove away, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was being pursued. I tried to rationalize my fears, but the incidents just continued to escalate. I received anonymous phone calls at all hours of the night, with heavy breathing, and on the other... Ambrose, with a 5. Last stream you asked if there's a shit Pokemon. Scarlet and Violet actually introduced a dung beetle Pokemon. Also, my birthday is on Earth Day. Well, happy birthday on Earth Day, Ambrose. A dung beetle Pokemon, of course. Yeah, I heard I think it was some podcast. They said there's a Pokemon that's just a set of keys. Doesn't even say anything. It just lays there and somebody carries it around and unlocks doors with it, or their car. That'd be kind of cool if the dung Pokemon was, I don't know, like the actual poop that was getting pushed around was like a Grimer or something like that. I could totally see that being like a symbiotic Pokemon relationship. They should start. That would actually be a good idea for... Oh wait, didn't somebody say that recently where there's like a new Pokemon where they fuse Pokemon together? I could see a whole fucking like new, Mega Evolution style gimmick bullshit that Pokemon always does every new game, cycle. I could totally see them starting to do like some sort of interesting fuses between Pokemon. Andrew A with the 5 says, how often would you have to edit out a loud moment of you saying what the fuck or something like that while narrating a story? I'm genuinely curious. Anytime I stop, that's just me stopping my recording. I have a little handheld remote. I can press stop, and then I can start again by it just creates a recording. I saw somebody else like streaming their recording process for narrations, and they were using Audacity, and it was like they had to press space to like record or something, and then like whenever they fucked up, they just quickly like scrolled past it and deleted it. But to me, that just seems like really... I guess you're kind of like doing it as you go, so it's actually edited as you go. But it just seems like a pain in the ass. I mean, we all have our own workflow, to be honest, so whatever works for you, to be real with you. But thank you for the 5. And Nick Zakzak, welcome back for 2 months. Yo, I got gifted membership. I had no idea. Oh, really? Nice. It could have been anybody. And Azura Pink, welcome back for 5 months. Says, congrats on a milli. Can you read Reddit Pro revenge stories on your finish early, please? And thank you for being your awesome stuff. Thank you, Azura. Yeah, if you can remind me, if we finish early here today, remind me. We'll read a Reddit Pro revenge. A professional revenge artist. And Horror on the Rocks of the 5 says, it was Pokemon Fusions also. We need to know, was it your feet or not your feet? My feet were clearly the biggest Easter egg in that video yesterday, and I hope you guys got a good whiff of it. You throw your dishes out the window. It's the best way to do it. When you're done, you never reuse a utensil, a dish, anything. Just toss out in the ocean. My poppin' champagne tonight. We popped a little bourbon last stream, but it wasn't very strong. Sadly. But maybe I'll pop something this weekend to celebrate. Time does fly by fast, doesn't it? Shotgun a double IPA. Yummy. I hate IPA, to be honest. It's like if tree bar or like a fucking, beer tastes like piss water. IPAs just taste like piss water, but you took a thing of tree bark and moss and dirt and just like left it in the piss water for a while. Maybe added some bubbles for carbonation's sake. And then you just like handed that to someone and say, hey, drink this. It's got a really fine woody finish to it, doesn't it? And you're like,
yeah, I guess so.
I'm kind of an IPA snob, though. Randy with the 5 says, sadly been missing your lives, but hope you're well. Missed your voice. Lots of love. Thank you, Randy. Good to see you, though. I'm glad you can be here tonight. And Warrior KG, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. And Beastkid with the 2 says that viewer confession was goddamn crazy. Yeah, there were some pretty wild ones in there. I was just thinking that casually that guy just like starting a fucking fire right out the gate. What's my drink of choice? Probably just chocolate milk. Shotgun a Four Loko. Dude, I remember I was alive during the days where like college kids were dropping like fucking flies drinking too many Four Lokos. Like so many people. And it was so funny because like around that time they were making it illegal to get it or something, or changing the formula, the Krabby Patty formula. They're trying to find the Four Loko formula. But I remember my one roommate went out and bought like so fucking many of them under the fear that they were going to change it or get rid of them. And they did. I don't know if he thought that they were going to be worth money or something, or maybe he just wanted to down 6 of them and die, have a heart attack or whatever. They had to take out the caffeine. Yeah, who would have thought that it's a stimulant mixed with alcohol was not the greatest idea? Especially whenever you can just chug a fuck ton of them. The Hitsubasa with the 5 says, dude, I could not believe that one about the college guy wanting that room. Oh, I know, right? I mean, that's just like next level deceivery. But at the same time, I don't know. Like, just the character, as they were like, I mean, I guess anybody, when they're writing in their own story, doesn't necessarily seem evil. But it's weird, because, like, the picture I had of the character in my mind didn't really, like, become or make sense to be evil. Like, it just suddenly, they just were like, fuck it, I'm just the worst person ever. And Lovo, welcome to the Buttersock Cult. You now have access to bonus content. What would you do if a rude guy bashes into you, even if you haven't touched or said anything, instead of asking if you can move out of the way, please? I just ignore him, I guess, because he clearly has some mental issues. Andrew A. with the 5 says, my problem was I would use Four Loko for my chaser with other alcohol. Sorry, maybe you shouldn't share that. No, I mean, it's... I don't know about the new ones, but I just feel like some people's bodies, after a while, like caffeine and the downers of the alcohol just fuck you up. Ever been to a stripe club? Yeah, it's like probably the least fun. I don't know. I don't really enjoy strip clubs. I've only been to, I think I went when I was like 21 or 22 or something, and it's weird. You know, it's like, I don't know, you see like truckers there, and they're like, yeah, I'm Tony Soprano, baby. I'm Tony Soprano. This is cool. But it's not cool. It's not like anything's happening. You're just, I mean, sure, like some of them could be very beautiful and stuff, but like what? But it's not like you can pull a Pee Wee Herman and whip out your fucking Pee Wee Herman and start going to town. So it's just, I don't know, and no touching, no touching. And I said, I'm not touching. I'm tasting. I have taste buds in my fingers. I received anonymous phone calls at all hours of the night, with heavy breathing on the other end of the line. I found threatening notes slipped under my door, promising that I would pay for holding James back. I reported the incidents to the school and the police, but there was really little they could do without concrete evidence. The note that contained James's name was typed and not handwritten, so they couldn't really even match the handwriting, and they suggested that I just keep a record of everything that happened and try to capture evidence if I could. I became increasingly paranoid, always looking over my shoulder and double-checking my locks. My once pleasant job now felt like a nightmare that I couldn't escape. I couldn't shake the feeling that James was the one behind it all, but I really had no proof to throw at this kid. One evening, as I was grading papers in my empty classroom, I heard a faint tapping on the window. I looked up, and my heart skipped a beat when I saw James staring at me with a twisted smile on his face, and he held up a note that read, "I'm always watching." I called the police, but by the time they arrived, James was gone. J-A-M-E, James. Christopher James. Do you guys remember what that's from? That's a fucking throwback to a very fucking old YouTube video. My name is Christopher James. I called the police, but by the time they arrived, James was gone. They scoured the school grounds but found no trace of him. I was left with this chilling feeling of helplessness and fear. The police even suggested that I had been even making it up, asking if I had issues with a student and maybe that's why I'm singling him out. I was outraged by those accusations, but I just kept on living my life. And the stalking continued, and the line between reality and paranoia started to kind of blur. Sleep was difficult, and I felt trapped in this sort of waking nightmare. As the school year finally drew to a close, I knew that I had to find a way to put an end to this torment. The next day was the last day of classes, and I hadn't received any papers from James. I decided to make one last effort to reach to him. Rusty spoons. Welcome to the cum zone. The next day was the last day of classes, and I hadn't received any paper from James. I decided to make one last effort to reach him before he failed, or something much darker may have happened. I reached out to James's parents, even though I was instructed by the school not to reach out to them. I was hoping that they could intervene and help their son get back on track. I planned on telling them that it wasn't too late to get James on track to graduate, and I was willing to be flexible. To my surprise, they were aware of unaware of the situation and were horrified by what I told them. The school nor the police reached out to James's parents. They had no idea James was potentially not graduating, and they didn't know what to say about the potential stalking situation. They promised to address the issue and get James the help that he needed. As the school year came to an end, the incidents ceased almost seemingly overnight. I never discovered the true extent of James' involvement or why he chose to target me, other than the fact that he may not be able to graduate. The experience left me with a lingering sense of dread, though, a reminder of the darkness that can lurk beneath the surface of even the brightest minds. And graduation day came, and James never showed up. We tried to reach out to his parents, but the phone wasn't in service, and it turns out that James and his family had moved and just didn't tell anyone. To this day, I don't know what happened to James or where he ended up in life. I continued teaching, determined not to let one student's actions define my career. But the memory of this incident still haunts me. The reason why I'm writing this story now is that last night in the middle of the night, I received 2 very strange phone calls, and both calls were nothing on the other line. Maybe a little bit of breathing, but I wasn't too sure. Something that hasn't happened since the James incident, and I can't help but think, is he still watching me? Who's my favorite Salad Fingers puppet? Hubert, Marjorie, or Jeremy? What's Marjorie's name? Marjorie Cumberbatch. Salad Fingers. I guess I could ask Chat BBC. They know fucking everything. What's the name of the finger puppet Marjorie from Salad Fingers? The name of the finger puppet in Salad Fingers is not Marjorie, but rather Marjorie Stewart Baxter. Marjorie is a character in the series who is often seen as a companion to Salad Fingers. She is small, pink-fingered puppet with blonde hair and is often seen wearing a dress. I would say my favorite is Marjorie Stewart Baxter. I feel like ChatGPT is like the definition of like whenever you go into the comment section of something and somebody says, actually, and then like people repeat the same phrase back but with like the dorky emoji face with the glasses.
Actually, it's Marjorie Stewart Baxter. Just so you know.
You've gotten so much better at using your voice over the years. It's been great to watch, and it gets sexier as I hear you age because I'm 28. Thank you, Kingdom Cali. Good to see you. Klaus, thank you, my friend. Did you use AOL or AIM at all, Joel, or two? Yes, I did. Yeah, that was like middle school. We had AIM. That was like, honestly, it's so funny. Like, looking back then, I honestly wish like those messenger apps and stuff like that just like didn't exist. Because there were so many times as like just sort of like an immature little boy that like you would... I remember like full on like dating a girl in like middle school, but like only specifically through this like chat system. And I just remember like then getting to school and it was as if though she didn't want to talk to me at all, and it was just really awkward. And I don't know, I was like a little kid, you know what I mean? You're just like fucking confused. She's like, wait, I thought like we were like dating or something. But then you're like, oh wait, we're all like insane and like super insecure and stuff like that. You've got mail. This story took place 8 years ago, shortly before I graduated. I remember that time very vividly, the hope and the fear that came with closing one chapter and starting a new one. My friends and I rented a house during our last 2 years of school, and most of us had already packed up some of our belongings to head back home shortly after graduation. All of my friends that lived in the house, besides I, went to high school with me, so I knew that we would still be in close contact in our hometown after graduation. Anyway, the story starts out with 3 or 4 of us going into campus to pick out our cap and gown for the ceremony. I think we had to go to the bookstore and wait in line to pick up everything we needed. I was last in line and could see that my friends were finishing up, but I had yet to be helped. I was then waved over by a young guy who looked like he may have been a freshman volunteer or something. When I walked over, he said something to me, but the tone was so low that I had to say, "What?" a few times for him to speak up. He then apologized, cleared his throat, and asked me for my name. I gave him my name and stood there as he sorted through the list looking for my name. He eventually found it when he came back to the boxes and pulled out my cap, gown, and some paperwork and handed it to me. He must be shy or nervous, I thought, because he had been avoiding eye contact this entire time. As I said thank you and was ready to leave, I heard him mumble something again under his breath. "Excuse me?" I said, and this time after clearing his throat, he looked right at me and said, "Do you know what you're wearing under it?" His stare was blank. I didn't know what to say. I think he sensed that I was taken aback, and he quickly put his head back down and shuffled paperwork and said, "My sister wore one of my grandmother's dresses under hers. Sorry, I was just making conversation. Thank you." And walked away. I slowly walked away and saw my friends laughing in the hallway, and I caught up to them. One of my friends, Stacy, asked if I was okay, and she said I looked like I was ready to throw up. I told her about my strange encounter, and she laughed and said she felt bad for the poor nerd. She said he could probably think about... Oops. Bother. Do I watch the Meat Canyon channel? I do, yeah. Meat Canyon's awesome. It's also interesting, too, because he has, like, that, his separate channel, Papa Meat, which is, like, mainly, it's all about, like, his personality and behind-the-scenes stuff, and that shit's really funny. I feel like me and him would be great mud wrestlers together. She said he would probably think about it all day and wish that he had said anything else. And that somehow made me feel better and quickly pushed it out of my mind. A few nights later, we were having a small send-off party at our house. It was a small group of maybe 15 or so people, and it was nice to see some of my extended friends whom I wasn't sure if I would or wouldn't stay in contact with once we officially graduated and went back to our hometowns. The night was fun and mostly uneventful. And then, at about 1:30 a.m., we got a knock at the front door. I think the 3 or 4 of us who heard it all huddled in the living room to try and see if we could see who it was on the front porch. We looked out all of the adjacent windows and really couldn't see anything. We decided to leave the chain lock attached. No Mr. Ballin, no Mr. Nightmare, only Mr. Let's Read. Only Sir Reedy. Do you play chess or checkers, Joe? I haven't played checkers in a long time, but I play chess from time to time, and I'm not very good. I guess mainly because I only play like once every 6 months or something like that, if that at all. But I recently learned from a friend who has been playing a lot. He was telling me that you really want to try to advance most of your pieces to the center, because then it opens up like the other pieces to create that like checkmate scenario. Because he said that he's had a few opening moves where he's like checkmated somebody in like 2 moves, and I was like, oh, that's pretty freaking cool, dude. And then I pulled his underwear up through his asshole like a thong, and I dunked his head under the toilet water. I just couldn't help myself. I'm just a fucking bully. We decided to leave the chain lock attached and crack the door just in case someone was there. But when we cracked the door, no one was there. Most went back to the bedrooms, but Stacy and I stayed in the living room on the couch and turned the TV on. After we chatted for a little bit, I could feel that I was getting tired again, so I decided to head to my room, which was just off the living room. After about 20 minutes in bed, I felt like I was hearing a scratching sound, and I couldn't figure out what it was, but I thought maybe something under my bed was scratching the floor when I moved, or something hanging on the wall was moving and scraping. I'm not sure what persuaded me to do what I did next, but I got up and locked the bedroom window, which I noticed for the first time was unlocked. After hearing it on and off for another 20 minutes, I got up out of bed to see if I could find the source of the annoyance once and for all. As soon as I got out of bed, there was a huge thud on my bedroom window, which scared the absolute crap out of me. I ran quickly to the window to see if I could see anyone or anything. I didn't see anything, but after that, the scratching noises stopped. I stayed awake for almost that. Nick at Night, thank you. Good to see you. You wanted to learn chess but too lazy. Yeah, it's kind of a pain in the ass. I don't know. People who think they're like good at chess, it's like, so who cares? You know what I mean? It's just like, cool. What are you gonna? They gonna bring you into the CIA? You're gonna figure out how to take over Guantanamo Bay? Like, no one gives a shit, man. Why don't you work on castling some pussy? No, I'm just kidding, but you get the idea. It's just, I mean, it's fun. You know, it's a fun little thing here and there, but like the people that are like sit there with their legs crossed and their fingertips touched as they gaze upon your next feeble demonstration paralleling your internal weakness, it's just like those people need to fucking go outside and touch some grass, for God's sakes. Like, who cares? And they always seem to like know some rule of chess that you've like never fucking like heard of in your life. Oh, you forgot about my squibble squabble. It's where you can take this piece and bring it over to the complete opposite piece, and then we switch the board around 89 degrees, and then I unzip your pants, and who knows what happens next. What? What the fuck? It's part of the game. It's all fun and games, really. And they cha-cha real smooth. Cha-cha real smooth. Do-do-do-do-do-do-do. I stayed awake for most of the night after that. I wasn't able to get comfortable and didn't really feel very tired after the front door and now my window. 2 days later, we were getting ready on the morning of graduation, and some of us had a drink or two to celebrate, but mostly we were packing up some final stuff in our cars so we could head home after the ceremony. I remember I was doing my hair when we heard another loud knock at the door. I was running a little late, so I didn't bother answering it, even though I was closest to the door. I remember hearing someone answer the door and then calling my name. They said it's for you in a weird voice. I hopped out of my room excited, thinking maybe it was my family on their way to the venue for the graduation, but what I saw stopped me dead in my tracks halfway to the door. It was the person who helped me with my cap and gown on campus, the nerdy kid. I don't really remember exactly how the conversation went, so I'm just going to paraphrase, but I asked, "Why are you here?" To which he replied in a soft voice that I could barely hear, "I wanted to wish you good luck." Annoyed and a little creeped out, I said, "Okay, but how did you know where I lived?" And he responds, "Well, I was here the other night. You had a party, remember?" Increasingly more creeped out, I said, "Yeah, we had a party, but you weren't here." He then looked up at me and said, I didn't say I was inside." I just yelled right in his face and said if he didn't leave right away, I was going to call the cops. My friends heard me yelling and came rushing to the door, but it was too late. I had already slammed it and locked it. I told my friends what had happened and acted like I was fine and it didn't faze me, but inside it really put a damper on the day. I couldn't quite focus and enjoy graduation, and I felt as though I was going through the motions. I know for some of this story it may not seem insanely scary. Whoops. How do you get rid of the stupid heart thing? Well, for what? Like your own heart? You gotta like rip it out like Indiana Jones. Did you see the new Mario? I did, yeah. It was pretty good. It was what it was, you know what I mean? Like, that really, I think any adult human being who goes in that movie, like, hyper-analyzing it, I guess that's fine. You can do that if you want, but I don't think it's really worth your time. As I say that, as I did exactly that same thing when I went and watched it. But no, it was fun. It was just, it was like they had to like touch on every little like Nintendo bullshit thing, and they did that, and then bada bing, bada boom, $1 billion. Easy peasy, lemon schmeezy. I know for some this story may not be insanely scary, but this was one of the most unsettling events of my entire life. I often think about what would have happened if I didn't lock my windows that night. The positive thing is that after that day, I was back home and have only been back to my college town I think once or twice to visit. This time of the year, I tend to think of this story when you start to see graduation cards and decorations hit the stores. I'm just thankful that I never have to see that creepy cap and gown guy ever again. More than 1 billion? Sheesh. It's crazy. The Jack Black song. Oh yeah, on his peaches, 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 peaches. Which, I don't know, that felt kind of like filler, I guess, you know what I mean? And they're like, well, we got Jack Black here, we might as well use him in all of his typical capacity of improvisational music. Which is funny, I guess, you know. Hi, kitty. Pretty climbed up on the chair and was bumping into my butt.
He's saying, don't make fun of Jack Black.
Any memories graduating from nursing school? I do remember my brother trying to take pictures of me on stage and stuff like that, but he was like, it was really, really awkward because he was just like super fucking loud, like, Joe, 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 like, like off to the side of the stage, you know what I mean? Like everybody's staring at him as he's taking a picture and stuff. And I get it, you're like proud of your family for getting through school and shit. But it's like, yo, bro, chill the fuck out. Like everybody's looking. It was funny though. How's Pradeep doing? He's still on that catnip. Wah wah, wah. You forgot it's 420. Oh shoot, Hannah's about to get Blazikins. He was just proud. No, I'm happy. No, for sure. I understood. It was just a little awkward. Landslide Trucking. Thank you, my friend. Good to see you. I had spent months planning my graduation party. As a newly minted college graduate, I wanted to celebrate my achievements with my friends and family. I had also invited a few online friends, people I had connected with through various social media platforms and chat rooms. One of them in particular piqued my interest. His name was Mike, and we had been chatting for months, bonding over our shared love for books and movies. I understand the fear of meeting people online, but after really doing my research, I was confident that not only Mike was real, but that he was a genuine person. The day of the party finally arrived, and my excitement was just palpable. As the guests began to trickle in, I eagerly scanned the crowd, hoping to catch a glimpse of Mike. We had never met in person, but we'd exchanged pictures and video. We exchanged dick pics. Collab with C Mustard again. I would, honestly. I love that guy. Dr. Love, yeah. About to watch the Ted Lasso from yesterday. Is Ted Lasso funny? Like, what is Ted Lasso? I swear to God, for like a month or two straight, all I saw was like Ted Lasso advertisements, either on like Amazon, you know, I think it was Amazon, but I swear to God, I just kept seeing Ted Lasso advertised over and over again, and there wasn't like an ounce of funny in any of the, like, it didn't even advertise itself as like a comedy in the fucking ads. And I don't know, I was just like so confused because that guy who acts in it, he's Sudeikis, yeah, Jason Sudeikis, he seems very funny, but at the same time, like, that show, like, whoever did the trailer for it, just like, or at least for me, it just failed, because the show just seems like, I don't even know, maybe it's like so mature, like it's one of those ones that says fuck and poop and fa-poop. Oh, it's a dramedy? Interesting. I don't know. I don't know if I can get on board with that. You cousins have been raving about it much. I just treated it like Velma 2.0. Is it really like Velma 2.0? Don't tell me it's like Velma. If it's like Velma, that would be next level bad. They're blaming Harry Styles for making Jason sad because he was dating Olivia Wilde. Oh. whatever. I can't even pretend to care about like fucking actors and all their like weird idiosyncrasies. Like, sure, they, you know, I don't know. People like suck their fucking wee-wees so fucking hard that they just, like, when they come on set, they just think that they're, I don't know, unstoppable beings. But it's like, bro, you're there, you're a professional, fucking act like you've been here before, you know? But I feel like most of them are like, I'm not working till I've had my Schweppes root beer and my Schweppes ginger ale mixed in together. I call that a graveyard, and I will have it. Oh dear, somebody's dating Olivia Wilde. I guess I can't focus. Yibbity dibbity. Legit just had a deja vu right out in your live? No way. No fucking way. Was it like... Did I have pants on in the deja vu? Joel's the only celebrity. I'm not a celebrity. If anybody ever calls me a celebrity, you tell them, hey, you don't say that. Hey, you don't say that. That's offensive. We had never met in person, but we had exchanged pictures and video chatted countless times, so I had a general idea of what he looked like. When I spotted him standing by the refreshment table, I felt my heart race. He looked even more handsome in person, with a charming smile and deep-set eyes. I approached him and we struck up a conversation, immediately hitting it off. I was relieved and excited that Mike was exactly the Mike that I had imagined. As the party wore on... Fuck. Joel's a celery. I'm a celery stick. You know what's weird? Why does celery sticks sometimes taste salty, even though there's no salt on it?
What the fuck's up with that, Dutch? Dutch, did you ever ask yourself, why the hell celery tastes salty? Ain't got no salt in it.
I wish I could do, I mean, not that that's any good, but I wish I could do fucking Dutch. Arthur. We need more money, Arthur. But I can't really emulate his voice at all. Red Dead 3 in the works. It's right here. We're recording it at home. Dan, whatever his name is, left Rockstar, but we don't need him. We're just going to make it up. Can I speak Spanish? Sí, señorita. I'm pretty good at it. I actually know why they have so much meticulous lists to make sure their assistant pays attention and doesn't leave anything out. I can't tell if you're trolling or not. You're literally saying, like, I feel like that's like saying, like, you know, we went out to eat, but I make my wife cook, you know, something just to make sure she doesn't get rusty. Do a feet reveal now. All right, 1 second. As the party wore on, Mike and I spent more and more time together. He was witty and engaging, and I found myself drawn to him. However, as the evening progressed, I began to notice subtle inconsistencies in his stories. He would mention details that didn't align with what had... Whoops. Mucho gusto, mi amo la suite. Mi amo. You feel underwater. Good. Take a deep breath in. Now understand you can breathe underwater too. It's not trolling, it's for hiring a new assistant. It's a test. Are you testing me? Okay. I will be Jason Sudeikis' gopher. I'll get him anything he needs. Even if he doesn't need it, he just needs to make a list of, like, little silly tasks that I need to complete. Things like making sure that he has nail polish just in case he wants to paint his nails. Just in case. He doesn't normally do it, but he likes the idea of having it ready in case his daughters come to visit. In case they want to be cute. Now, granted, they are, 16 and 17. Why they would do that to him, I don't know. but he says he likes to be ready, so please hire me. I need a job. He would mention details that didn't align with what he had previously told me, and he seemed to dodge certain questions about his past. It seemed fishy, but I was trying to chalk it up to just my imagination, I guess. The more I observed him, the more I realized that there was just something off about his behavior. He seemed overly interested in my friends, asking probing questions about their lives and relationships. At times, his gaze would linger on them for a little too long, making them visibly uncomfortable. My unease grew as the night wore on, and I decided to confront him about the inconsistencies in his stories. He brushed off my concerns, assuring me that he was just nervous and had misspoken. I wanted to believe him, but this nagging voice in the back of my mind told me that something wasn't right. I used to have a horrible tendency to always believe people and be naive, and give them the benefit of the doubt, even when alarm bells were blaring. I exhausted myself to the bathroom and pulled out my phone, doing a quick search for his name and any information I could find about him. And believe it or not, to my horror, I discovered that Mike wasn't who he claimed to be. The man I had been chatting with online was, in fact, a convicted stalker who had served time for harassing and terrorizing multiple women. All the information you could ever want was right there, including his haunting mugshot, and now this guy was sitting at my party. How I didn't think to look this stuff up before was just another indication to me of how naive I am about the world. And panic set in as I realized the danger I had unknowingly invited into my life. I knew I had to get him out of my house and away from my friends. I called the police, and they advised me to keep him occupied until they arrived. Even though Mike wasn't doing anything illegal, I don't think, they figured it would be safe to check in and make sure the party was safe. I returned to the party, trying to maintain my composure as I re-engaged Mike. It felt like an eternity, but eventually, I saw the lights of the police cars outside my window. As soon as Mike saw the lights, his expression instantly changed. With intense anger in his eyes, he looked at me and said, "What are they doing here?" And he became erratic. Without even knowing why the police were called, he assumed it was for him, and he started to shout, "I can't believe you do this. You know me. You think I'd do this to you?" I tried to play stupid since I assumed that there was no way he could even know that it was me who called the authorities. The officers entered the house and swiftly tried to apprehend Mike, who at this point was just starting to go completely off the rails, yelling things. He started to pick up chairs and end tables and throw them around the room. He looked at me and shouted in my face, "You're going to be sorry." As the cops finally got a hold of him, he started to calm down. They were speaking to him in a quiet and calm voice, so low that I couldn't hear what they were saying. I could only see Mike panting like he had just run a marathon, and he looked genuinely shocked by the turn of events. As they led this guy out of the house, not in handcuffs, he stared at me with a mixture of confusion and anger. I couldn't help but shudder, realizing how close I had come to potentially falling prey to his sinister intentions. And according to one of the officers, apparently this is how Mike engaged his last victim, by winning their affection via social media and various other social platforms. And what was scary about Mike was that the man you would see in the pictures and videos was the man you got. There was no catfishing, no tricks, and no ruses. This sociopath would invite himself into your circles and break down the walls from the inside. A lot of monsters hide behind the internet, but not Mike. He used the internet as a jumping pad to enter your real life. The party ended on a somber note, I guess, but my friends and family rallied around me, offering their support and comfort. The experience was a sobering reminder of the dangers that can lurk online, hidden behind charming smiles and carefully crafted personas. I vowed to be more cautious in the future, grateful that I had managed to escape whatever harmful situation I could have fell into. I feel like that one's kind of confusing as shit. He has a history of stalking, I guess. And then just started to freak out when he saw the cops, which I guess would warrant the cops to if they were just doing a house check, since it's party weekend at some schools and stuff. And seeing him freak out, I don't know. It was just like his stories were inconsistent, so she just happened to do like a fucking background check, which you think you would have done prior. I don't fucking know. You gave your rat a graham cracker and he tripped on it while carrying it back to his cage. That's funny. You're scared for me to do another viewer confession video, but you still want it. I mean, some of the shit people send in is pretty fucking wacky. There was other ones that could have gone into there, but I guess I could spread them out over a few videos if you'd want it. And you guys could send in your confessions too, if you happen to. I mean, obviously we'll keep it anonymous and stuff. I'm sure most people probably make up a random email or Reddit account anyways. Do you think some stories people send in are fake? I think there might be some here and there, but it's, once again, it's so hard to fucking tell what is real. But I have a good time doing it, so. You ever heard of Huska Castle? I don't think I've heard of that. Dan Miho, former member. Uh-oh. Were you kicked out? Does your birthday fall on a stream day this year? It falls on a Sunday. It does fall on a Sunday. Which is kind of tough because what do we do in that scenario? Because I'm gonna be probably a little intoxicated and I do have to get the recordings done, so maybe I'll do a stream for recording Monday stories. Well, I guess it just depends. We'll figure it out. No worries. Double stream weekend would be fun though.
Joel is the bird, and the bird is the word, and the Joel is the bird, and the bird is the word, and
Klaus Damon with the 5 says, Joe, I love the viewer confessions. Keep up the good work. Can't wait till 1 million Buttersock cult members. Yeah, that's the next step. We're at like 800 and some right now, which is crazy to think. 800 people being members. I mean, there was a lot of gifters, but just wild. Do any of my relatives watch you, Joel? I do believe that some of them do. I remember my younger cousins said that they were like big fans of it, and I was like, oh, nice. And by younger cousins, I mean they're like graduated from high school and college and stuff. But I feel like I've never, yeah. Millie Smith, welcome back for 7 months in the Buttersock cult. Says, hey Joel, how are you? I'm good. We're just cruising along. Intoxicated sounds like the usual. The usual, you know me. We can take shots when you mess up. Oh man, that would be a lot of shots. That's why I'm thinking if I drink this year related, if I do drink on the birthday stream, that it'd be better to actually play a video game, like something that doesn't require like too much of my focus, because last birthday, oh fuck man, it was just like I had to record the stories the next day because I just couldn't even like read in this, and I was yelling and I was an idiot. It was stupid. Jamie Carpenter, what's up? Your socials are all private except for Twitter, but I don't post personal stuff on there. No worries, that's smart. Bro, it's still hard to believe. 1 million. We did it. We did it. I've heard people say that gold is corruptive. What do you guys think about that? If you surround yourself in gold, wearing a gold chain, or gold all on my wrist, gold all on my watch. Don't believe me, just watch. I heard it is corruptive of the soul. Maybe I shouldn't get the gold plaque. Or maybe I should keep it hidden away deep within a mine shaft. Do a top 20 list of your favorite stories. I don't know. It'd be too hard to like go back and search through them. You love gold, a gold member. Looking forward to that philosophy video. Yeah, me too. I have it sent over to Mr. Enect, my podcast guy / sound guy, and he's gonna get it up sounding nice and cute. Gonna try to have it like sound as if though you're sitting with me around a fire as I muse about certain concepts and ideas. Joel's singing old songs. Yeah, yeah, we must collect the gold. Mr. Deal for a deal. It was so funny too, like I posted on Instagram, you know, new video or whatever, but then, you know, I just was feeling it's a little bit of a silly, goofy mood. And it's like a picture of like a pit bull smiling, and it's one of those memes where it's like, I meet someone, we talk, you know, blah, 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 you know, I say cheese to meet you, they leave, I meet someone, you know, it's like that cycle or whatever. But this one was a picture of a smiling pit bull, and it says, I meet someone, I maul their infant, they leave, I meet some, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's very clearly, you know, it's very clearly a fucking meme. You know, like it's a silly, goofy, like meme joke that's going around everywhere. And it's, I mean, the idea of that happening is not funny, obviously. You wouldn't want that to happen to anybody. But it's like, that's how people, you know, make fun of things. Like you just make fun of literally anything, and if it makes you laugh, then it's comedy. You know what I mean? And like, I don't know, someone like had a comment with like 10 or 12 likes or something, agreeing like, we don't need this anti-pitbull propaganda being pushed on everyone. Pitbulls get such a bad rep already. And I'm like, it's just it's a prank, bro. Go to bed, you know. It's just, people are they get so fucking in their head about the dumbest shit. Like if someone were to see that, like, have you ever seen a meme and got scared? You see it and you've just been spooked, like by a silly meme that's clearly in the form of a jest. But yet that's what the people that are angry about the meme would be implying, that somebody is seeing that and is so ignorant of like dogs. Why do you hate pit bulls, Joel? Exactly. Like it's just they'd be so ignorant of dogs that, well, like, what do you think? Every time someone posts that meme, another pit bull is just like exploded in a minefield or something? Like, I just don't know what the fuck goes through those people's heads when they feel the need that they have to like be angry about a meme. You think most people are over the stereotype about pit bulls, though? No, but that's the thing. It's not like the stereotype is the joke. That's the joke. You meet someone, I maul your infant, you leave. Like, that's the joke. It's a silly Billy Smilly Nilly. Like, you don't, like, and to sit there and say people are over it is to sit there and assume that, like, people seeing that are, like, so dumb that they don't see the comedy in it, and they immediately are under the presumption that this hypothetical person that they've never met before, that just exists in their head, is somehow going to see a joke about a pit bull and therefore continue to exist in their state of terrified bias of their pit bull. Which, if you're scared of dogs, so be it. I think you have every reason to continue to be scared of dogs. Dogs can be terrifying creatures. But like those, most of the time, those people don't exist. So it's an odd, I don't know, it's an odd thing to go around trying to defend it. I don't know. Trying to explain a joke is, as they say, like dissecting a frog, because, you know, once you rip it apart, you can't really put it back together. Whatever. Anyways, I just wanted to bitch about that because it's just like so corny. It's like so weird, like how people like they get all up in arms about comedy. It's like how you're disconnected from reality. You know, you're disconnected from reality when you can't recognize humor. It's strange to me. I had been the maintenance man at a local high school for years. I had seen countless students come and go, and I took pride in keeping the place clean and safe for them. Over the years, it has truly been a sight to behold to see just how many students change year after year. The fads come and go, the styles change yearly, and the language they use is different, and yet the end result is always the same. One group always moves on, and a new group starts, just like clockwork. It was the night before the graduation ceremony, and I was tasked with setting up the gymnasium for the big event. I was honored to have such an important task, but more likely they just couldn't afford to have anyone else do the job. The school was empty and quiet as I worked. The faint hum of the air conditioning was my only real companion, which is how I liked it if I'm being honest. I had always found the school kind of eerie at night, but I brushed off the feeling as I focused on my task. Gradually, the gymnasium transformed into a pretty impressive venue, if I do say so myself, complete with rows of chairs, a stage, and a dazzling array of decorations. It was transforming into something that even I really didn't recognize. It was hard to imagine the gym was hiding underneath all those decorations, and as I was putting the finishing touches on the setup, I heard a strange noise coming from the hallway. It sounded like footsteps, but I knew I was the only one in the building. I shrugged it off as my imagination just playing tricks on me, as I do watch a lot of scary videos online, including Let's Read, but I continued my work. Oh my god, Pradeep, holy shit, bro. Go to fuck, man. Just out of nowhere, he's gotta like rip the fuck out of the couch for no reason. Fuck this couch. Fuck your couch. Fuck your couch. Beast Kid with the 5 says, you should make a new channel or podcast about ranting about things hilarious. Maybe, just might. We do a little trolling. Comedy is not being serious. I mean, look at Will Smith smacking Chris Rock. Yeah, I couldn't tell. I mean, I still believe that that was staged. I have like a wholehearted feeling that that was like some sort of strange humiliation ritual done by Hollywood, just to get the plebeians like us to go stare at their dumb circle jerk. True comedy was created to make light of tragedies we cannot stop. I mean, how else do you deal with reality? Like, every time you fucking leave your house, you could crash your car. And yet, how many, memes do you come across where it's like referencing death as the end result? It's just like, that's how you do comedy. You just, if it makes people laugh, it works. Everybody that feels some type of way about it, feel that, because you're just getting in the way. Chrisnopolis with the 10 months, welcome back, says thank you for being a friend. Traveled down the road and back again. Your heart is true, you're a pal, and I forget. Payback for the bird song. Bird, bird, bird. Bird is the word. Joel, it seems so staged to me right off the bat. Chris seemed too prepared for it not to be. I think the weirdest thing to me was like, and this may have been a doctored image, but that picture where Chris, well, okay, whenever Will Smith walked up on stage, right? He was walking up on stage, and like, did you see Chris Rock? He had his hands like either on his side or behind his back, and he was kind of turned his face a little bit to the side, like, and he had this weird shit-eating fucking troll-like smile grin on his face, and he's just like, almost like he was preparing to get punched in the fucking face or hit. And then somebody, like, I don't know, they zoomed in there. There was supposed to be some sort of like padding on the cheek or whatever, as if though to diffuse any sort of damage to the skin. And like, and then I remember seeing like one of those stupid fucking fact checkers that you see on all social media now. Actually, the fact checkers have proved that was a doctored image at the Grammys that night, or the Oscars. And in fact, he was not wearing a little pad on his cheek. It was a big bunch of caked up makeup prior that they put on in the green room. I don't know, man. It just, like, what, like, if anything, that just proves to me that it's more fake because the fact checkers had to step in. We've done our research. We went through the forensic databases and we've determined that the Oscars must be watched, legally mandated, or else you'll be fined $2,000. Living in the Box with the 5 says, "Hi Joel, just wanted to say thank you for your videos. Currently in PA school. Been listening to you for years. Congrats on 1 mil." Well, thank you, Living in the Box. Appreciate you. And much respect to PA school. That is tough stuff. Best of luck with everything. I hope you continue to work hard and get through that shit. But it will be worth it in the end. Even though you'll have to listen to a stupid fucking doctor tell you to do a bunch of stupid shit. But if you get a good doctor, they'll hopefully be like your friend and colleague and not treat you bad. But if you get a bad one, I would suggest looking for ways to move on as soon as possible, because at the end of the day, you want to feel as if though you're respected for your work and your opinions. But good luck. Joel singing Golden Girls. Hell yeah. I don't even think I know the melody beyond "Thanks for being a friend." We did a total muscle failure in the army each week. Nice. Wouldn't that be potentially like causing rhabdo or something? What would you do if a skinwalker walked into your window and handed you McDonald's? I'd fucking love that. I would love to that would give me an excuse to chow down. Andrew A., take care, my friend. I remember back in the day, though, Will Smith was like one of my favorite actors. He was in so much shit. He was in just like so many fucking movies. I remember like he was at his peak probably around the time he was like in Hancock and what was that one? The vampire zombie movie. Fucking how do I not remember the name of that? The Day After. No, I don't remember what the fuck it was called, but it was around that time that he was in just like so many fucking flicks. And I remember someone asked me, "Who's your favorite actor?" And I said, I'm gonna have to say Will Smith. Wilhelm Schmidt. I Am Legend. There you go. I'm Legend. That'd be funny if it was just I''M Legend. Are you gonna see I'm Legend? Oh yeah, iRobot around that time too. He was in a lot of shit, dude. He was popping off. I don't know exactly which movie he was in that like kind of... Oh, it was that fucking M. Night Shyamalan movie, dude. Do you guys remember that one where it was him and his son and they were on some planet or some shit and they couldn't get off the planet? Or no, I think he was dead in it and like his son was thinking of him in his memories or something. I don't fucking know. But I don't know what happened. M. Night Shyamalan cursed him with one of his ghost curses. It sounded like footsteps, but I knew I was the only one in the building. I shrugged it off as my imagination playing tricks on me and continued my work. Moments later, the lights in the gymnasium flickered and went out, sending me into darkness. I froze, and my heart was pounding in my chest. I started to fumble for my flashlight and scan the room, but there was no one in sight. The power going out was not something that should have happened. The weather was beautiful outside and it wasn't even windy. If something had gone wrong, it needed to be fixed before tomorrow. So I cautiously made my way to the fuse box and located in a... Yeah, After Earth. Yeah. I don't even think I saw After Earth, but I just feel like I recall that was like the turning point in Wilhelm Schmidt's career that just kind of took a bit of a not so great downturn. I cautiously made my way to the fuse box, located in a storage room down the hall. As I walked, I couldn't shake the feeling like I was being watched, or someone was there. Every creak and groan of the building sent shivers down my spine, and I hurried to the storage room, eager to restore the lights and banish these shadows. During the short walk, I tried to focus on my breathing, because if I didn't, I swear I could almost hear the unearthly sounds of whispers. When I made it to the room, I flipped the breakers and the lights flickered back to life. I let out a sigh of relief and turned to leave, only to find myself face to face with a grotesque figure with a hood. I stumbled back in surprise, my heart leaping in my throat, and as I fell to the ground, the figure fled in the hallway, letting out some low groan. I had no idea what I just witnessed. While I was laying there on the floor of the supply room, I could clearly hear the sounds of multiple footprints scattering in the hallway. I jumped to my feet and shut the door. I was nearly crippled by terror as I felt that. I could hear the voices outside the door, and these voices weren't making any words, just weird freaking sounds. After a few moments of silence, I decided to open the door and just make a run for the gym. I knew the hallway would be dark, but the gym lights should be on now, and I knew the light of the gym would guide me. As soon as I whipped open the door, I started to sprint down the hall. Instantly, a group of things emerged from the darkness, chasing and groaning as if though they were in pain or something. I just screamed. I was in genuine terror. When I was only a few feet away from the gym, the groans started to turn into a chuckle, which then turned into full laughter. Once I got to the gym, I finally turned to look at the figures chasing me. One of them let out some low, menacing laugh, and I realized that I was being pranked by a group of high schoolers. Angry and embarrassed, I tried to chase them off, but they just scattered in all directions, disappearing into the darkness. As I returned to the gym, I noticed that they had completely sabotaged my hard work, scattering chairs and decorations in their wake. Frustrated, I spent the rest of the night cleaning up their mess and resetting the gymnasium for the graduation ceremony. I was determined not to let their childish prank ruin the events for the students who had worked so hard to reach this milestone. As the sun began to rise, I finally finished my work, exhausted but satisfied that the gymnasium was once again ready for the ceremony. I reported the incident to the school administration, and they promised to investigate and discipline the students responsible, but nothing seemed to come from it. As the days went on and the ceremony began, as the day went on. As the day went on and the ceremony began, I watched from the sidelines with a sort of mixture of pride and some resentment. I was happy for the graduating students, but I couldn't help but feel bitter about the thoughtless prank that had turned a routine task into a night of terror. In the end, I reminded myself that the actions of a few misguided individuals
Make me twerk. Make me twerk. Assume the position.
Burnt toast space girlfriend with a big 30 says, "Hey BB, that opening animation song and feet reveal were something special. Thank you, Burnt Toast. I appreciate you." Yeah, there was a lot of soul put into that, and I'm very, very proud of it, how everything turned out. Very, very thankful to just have a ton of awesome people working around me, or that I can work with. Anect on music, Dacon animation, really, really talented guy. He's been on, all sorts of syndicated television doing animations for commercials and other crazy stuff, music videos, all sorts of crazy stuff. And as soon as I saw him, I knew that I had to have him do that, and he did a great job. Just absolutely knocked it out of the park. Pretty stoked about it. And it made me, it makes me want to compile a team of people in some ways to make a horror anthology. But I don't know. I don't know if I think I was asking this earlier, but I didn't know if you guys had given an answer or not, but like, what if you were to start like a animation studio of sorts? What would be your like direction? You know, what would be your what would be your indication of success? You know what I mean? Lila, welcome back for 4 months. Says, I have arroved. She hath. She is here. The twerk king. You tweaked your back. Now I'm stuck in the twerk position. Yeah, just stuck there. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. More like rotten peasant of chime water. Somebody, you seen Ben Shapiro's sister? AKA Milk Tank. As the day went on and the ceremony began, I watched from the sidelines with a mixture of pride and some resentment. I was happy for the graduating students, but I couldn't help but feel bitter about the thoughtless prank that had turned a routine task into a night of terror. In the end, I reminded myself that the actions of a few misguided individuals shouldn't tarnish my view of the entire student body. I continued my work as the head of maintenance, always vigilant, but also more understanding of the unpredictable nature of high school students and their pranks. Every year, new pranks and challenges hit the internet, and unfortunately, someone in my position usually pays for them, either at my expense or I'm the one left to pick up the pieces from the messes caused by their damage. If any young people out there read this, please think about what you're doing before you do it. Luckily, I didn't sustain any injuries or damage, but not everyone is as lucky as me. The Dark Crystal? No, it's just weird noises out of my mouth. Chloe Smith, thank you for your first ever super chat with the 5 buckaroonies. Thank you. Gather round, children. Holds hands for prayer. What would you guys, if that was prayer time, what would you guys pray for? Are you guys praying for anything? Praying that you'll get a big donut in the morning filled with cream? That's fine. That's a fine prayer. If I was God, I'd be like, fuck yeah, dude, you get that shit. All yours, big dog. For it to stop. Lord, make it stop. For world peas. Just a bunch of smashed up pea soup. Sanity for the world. Yeah, I don't know. I've come to the conclusion that it's hard to generate sanity because, like, you know, we all operate within a strange hierarchy. I've talked about this before. But you can't fight the hierarchy. Someone at the top does something that you don't like, but you got to go along with it because otherwise you're extradited from the community, or it will be dealt via force, because somebody else is is in control of the enforcers, and the enforcers are scared to not enforce, otherwise they might be enforced upon. So it's just, everything is just like a strange system built around fear. And there are individuals, and not that many of them, that are incredibly good at like manipulating, large groups of people's psychology. And I feel like, I don't know. The only way to really break free of that psychology is to not give in to fear, you know? To just not be afraid, you know? Of the repercussions of your deviation from the hierarchy. But that's pretty generalized, so it's not very helpful, but you get the idea. Maybe you can break that down to something more specific in your life. And also pay me money for listening to that. No, I'm just kidding. That's stupid, but that's the lizard. Yeah. What we need to do is move somewhere cold where the lizard people can't live. Caitlin Smith with the 5 says, Joel, me and my entire family are begging to know if that was your feet in the last video. It was my feet. My feet were... My little tootsies were all curled up in my pod racer. Also, did you see that little thing I was carrying on the pod racer? That was like triangular in shape. It was kind of sick because at the end, it almost looked like a gold play button. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. And I stole it. I stole it. It's fucking mine. Spent $15K on a collie costume and lives full-time as a dog. Are you gonna follow suit? Are you gonna save up $15K and do the dog life? The earth is flat and Joel's one of those guards at the edge of it, the ice wall. He's a guard. Me and Jon Snow are holding it down at the edge of the earth. What if that's what the fucking Game of Thrones was? It was just like a community of humans that took place on the edge of Earth, on a flat Earth situation. Did they ever say in Game of Thrones what specific world they live on? Does it have like a name, or is it just Earth? Joel's hole. Don't fall in. The collie story sounds like Tusk, but with a dog instead of a walrus. Pretty much. Same situation. It's Earth. Yeah, but doesn't it like have weird long seasons and stuff that are not like Earth? But that's what I'm wondering though. If it took place a long time ago, maybe Earth had, well, I mean, obviously Earth did have some weird seasons based on its position to the sun. Dude, what the fuck is Earth, dude? Also, how the fuck do we know shit was so cold? How do we know anything? Do you ever wonder how we know fucking anything about the past? How do we know anything? Like, 'cause it's always just weird. Like, people just, like, wake up and they're like, me and my buddy John, scientist, think that this is the right thing about old Earth 10 quadillion years ago. And that's pretty much it. And if you disagree, you're a piece of shit and lame. 420 talk. Yeah. See, I don't even have to smoke and I just think of the dumbest shit. Well, that's the thing. I was looking into carbon dating stuff, and even that, like, isn't it heavily based upon it was some strange argument against it where it was like saying that like the carbon within the atmosphere that it's based off of, like the C, the carbon-14 isotope or whatever, it was acting as if though you would essentially need the carbon-14 that's present in the atmosphere to be consistent from, you know, going back a long time ago. And it's like, how in the fuck could the carbon-14 in the atmosphere like always be consistently the same amount? You know what I mean? Wouldn't that create some degree of variable in the sort of algorithmic manner in which to like date things? I don't know. Maybe I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but at the same time, it was one of those things when I heard that, I was like, that does sound a little strange. Dog life, not for me. Collie Guy's YouTube video has 3 million views, though. He's making money at it. Well, that's the thing. If that's his only video, he's got to make videos for like he's got to accept it into the partner program. And if he doesn't get accepted in the partner program, he doesn't get ad revenue. So, yeah, C14 is usually approximate and not always exact. Well, that's what I'm saying. Like, and I'm not saying that there's any real, I'm sure there's implications to it, but if there's, in the world of science, if there's any indication of like some sort of variance or question, especially over like great periods of time, it's like, in my mind, that's the same way as saying like, I know we can land on Alpha Centauri if we just like aim right there into the atmosphere. But it's like, if you, in the same sort of fashion, like guesstimating that many years in the past based on those carbon dating, like if you're off by a degree aiming at Alpha Centauri, you could end up in like God's butthole, you know what I mean, over on the right. And I feel like in a similar fashion, if your variable related to C14 is like off ever so slightly, imagine how potentially inaccurate it could be. I feel like it's at least like a consideration, but it's based on your carbon fart print. True. Real talk, my parents and sisters and I saw and described soldiers in our backyard. I live in Virginia. My neighbors were Confederate camp during the Civil War. Oh, okay. They saw some ghosty ghosts or like imprintations of energy or something. Your fart leaves a digital footprint. Yeah. The NSA will look back and be able to sniff your asshole years and years ago. The moment we tossed our caps into the air, a sense of freedom washed over me. High school was finally over, and my friends and I couldn't wait to celebrate our newfound independence. We had planned a weekend trip to a nearby lake house, eager to kick off the summer and leave our high school days behind us. We set off immediately after the graduation ceremony, our cars packed with swimsuits, snacks, and infectious insight. Oh my fucking God. We set off immediately after the graduation ceremony, our cars packed with swimsuits, snacks, and infectious excitement. The sun shone really brightly as we cruised down the highway, the wind whipping through our hair as we sang along to our favorite songs. Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus may have been played 2 or 3 or maybe even 12 times. But as we drove, I couldn't help but notice a car that seemed to be just following us. It had been behind us since we left the school, and the longer it stayed there, the more uneasy I felt. At first, I thought it was kind of funny that it had been following us for so long, but once we got to the part of the trip where traffic was rare, is when I really started to get uncomfortable. I mentioned it to my friends, but they just dismissed my concerns, assuring me that it was probably just some coincidence. The few times that I looked back, all I could see from my vantage point were 2 unsettling-looking men who both sat just completely motionless in the car. They looked to be older, but that's about all I could make out from where I was sitting. My friends were probably right. I was always the one who always worried in high school, and I was a little bit paranoid. We arrived at the lake. Shite. There's some serious drug dealing going on right outside my studio. Just saying, damn. Some serious drug dealing. Here's your weed. Well, here's your money. Fuck you. Hopefully that's it. Wouldn't that be funny? Like, yeah, you like look out your studio and it's like a series of just like 15 cars on both sides from like 2 different gangs. One's got like a huge fucking suitcase, and the other's got just like a baggie of weed, and in the suitcase it's like $60. They're like, you got the stuff? Yeah, I got the stuff. You got the money? I got the money. And then they all just like open fire on each other over local cartel shot and killed. Over 1/6 of a gram. Pew, pew. We arrived at the lake house in the late afternoon, the sun casting a golden glow across the water. We quickly unpacked and headed down to the shore, eager to enjoy the last few hours of sunlight. I had almost forgotten about the car that'd follow us, my worries washed away by the sound of just laughter and the gentle lapping of the waves. As the sun began to set, we gathered around a bonfire, roasting marshmallows and just reminiscing about our high school adventures. The evening was perfect, and I felt a surge of gratitude for the incredible friends that surrounded me. And that's when I noticed them. 2 men, standing at the edge of the woods, their faces seemingly obscured by the shadows of the trees. My heart skipped a beat as I realized that they were the same men that I may have seen driving behind us earlier. They just seemed to be watching us. I felt it in my intuition, and I instantly felt sick. I quietly alerted my friends to their presence, and we collectively decided to head back to the safety of the lake house. As we left, I couldn't shake the feeling that the men were still watching us, their intentions unknown but still very unnerving. We locked the doors and windows, our laughter replaced by this sort of tense silence. We tried to brush off our fears and enjoy the rest of the night, but the knowledge that we were being watched cast this dark shadow over our celebrations. My friends eventually passed out, but I was up the entire night, gasping and jumping at every little sound I heard. It was truly one of the longest nights of my entire life. The following day, we ventured out of the lake house, determined not to let the creepy men ruin our trip. We stuck together, always keeping an eye out for any sign of them. And as the day wore on, our anxiety began to fade, and we once again found ourselves laughing and just enjoying each other's company. But as night came, the men returned, and this time even closer to the lake house. Terrified and unsure of what to do, we decided to just call the police and report the situation. Unfortunately, this was easier said than done. None of us had any service on our cell phones, and even the Wi-Fi was pretty shoddy there. Eventually, one of us was able to get through, and they had advised. You just saved your boyfriend's life? He was hungry for batteries and you gave him some to eat? Peanut butter and sweet pickle sandwich? I can't tell if that sounds disgusting or not. Nachos and also an angel food cake? Now that's a fucking acid reflux mixture right there. Uncrustable air fried with cinnamon sugar. Fuck, dude. God, these sound so good. Eventually, one of us was able to get through, and they advised us to remain inside and assured us that they would spend motherfucker. Eventually, one of us was able to get through, and Eventually, one of us was able to get through, and they advised us to remain inside and assured us that they would send a patrol car to check on us. Hours later, yes, I said hours later, an officer arrived and spoke to the men who, at this point, were basically on our property line. The cops instantly told us to calm down as they approached the men. Peanut butter and dill pickle is better. Yeah, I guess it's peanut butter's already kind of sweet. The cops instantly told us to calm down as they approached the men. They claimed that they were simply... Oh, okay. The cops instantly told us to calm down as they approached the men. They claimed that they were simply camping in the area and meant us no harm. The officer warned them to just keep their distance and left, assuring us that we had nothing to worry about. One of the officers even said, "If you don't feel like being alone in the woods, then don't camp." Despite the officer's weak reassurances, being somewhat rude as well, we couldn't shake the feeling of unease that lingered in the air. We spent the remainder of our night on edge, the carefree excitement of our graduation celebration tainted by fear. Shortly after 2 a.m., we thought that we could hear floorboards creaking just outside the house. We all grouped up, and to the horror of all of us, those two men were now standing on the back porch, right outside the sliding glass door. They just stared inside, not moving or saying anything at first. They both had these sort of expressionless faces. They were easily in their 50s at least. Both were skinny with patchy-looking beards and those skinny faces that appear to be almost sunken in. Finally, one of the men spoke in a weak and shaky voice. "Hey, can we borrow some ketchup? We ran out." One of my friends was screaming, and the rest of us were basically in tears. The men didn't even react to our reactions. He just kept saying the same line repeatedly about the ketchup. The worst part of this nightmare was when he grabbed the door handle and tried to open it, saying, "I just need some ketchup, guys. Come on, open the door." Finally, one of the friends got through to the police again and frantically she explained.
I just need some peanut butter and ketchup. And a dill pickle. You guys have a dill pickle? Somebody was talking about it in the chat, and I just got cravings. I got the cravings, sweethearts. You guys are sweethearts, aren't you? You got a dill pickle for Daddy, don't you?
Finally, one of the friends got through to the police again, and frantically she explained what was happening. Thankfully, the cops showed up much faster this time and actually looked to have a sense of urgency. When the lights could be seen in front of the house, the two men began to fled.
I got the dill withdrawals.
What's the deal with pickles? That should be Jerry Seinfeld's final joke prior to exploding on stage. What's the dip? When the light could be seen in front of the house, the two men fled into the woods and thankfully never returned. Probably because the cops stayed in our driveway for the rest of the evening. At dawn, as we packed up our belongings and headed home, I couldn't help but feel a sense of relief. Our weekend trip had been marred by the unsettling presence of the two men, and I was eager to put that experience far behind me. The incident served as a sobering reminder that, as we embarked onto the next chapter of our lives, we would also face new challenges and dangers. We learned to be more cautious and aware of our surroundings. Anywhere, anytime, it can happen. They're making a Seinfeld remake? Jesus Christ, the first one was boring enough. Do we need to be fucking bored to actual death again? Ugh. Enough with the reboots. I know, it's like Hollywood can't think of anything new. They're so terrified of, like, I don't know which, like, company, because I'm sure it's all based on data, right? That somebody shows them some data, like, our data here shows that if you do a reboot for Seinfeld, that it will guaranteed generate at least 100 million viewers a day. And like, oh, okay, everything you say on that data sheet sounds correct. I guess we better not think of anything original and just fucking copy everything from the past. Totally makes sense. The only thing you need is B-Movie 2, that's it. No more, no less.
No more, no less.
Reboot Gunsmoke? I don't know. That's what I'm saying. I just feel like the future of all entertainment is just independent. Independent companies with a degree of, okay, here it is. I've got the idea. I've got the perfect idea for Hollywood. Steal all your idea. No, you don't have to steal it. What you do is you can do it legally. You just need independent people with original ideas to come up with something that garners a small remote amount of success, right? And then you come in with a little bit of capital and buy that idea from them for 6 to 7 episodes or some stupid shit. And then you just basically recycle that same process with a bunch of like independent creators over and over again, never really having to pay anybody like you would J.J. Abrams or some shit, which is really strange, you know, like their sort of obsession. I mean, I guess a lot of it comes down to the connections those people make, but the amount of money they pay some of these people who have just been like lifelong Hollywood members. Just move on. There's 8 billion people on Earth. Teach them how to act. Teach them how to fucking animate or some shit. Yeah, welcome to Jollywood, baby. Let's go. Westworld reboot. Oh yeah, that one was pretty interesting for a couple episodes. As I stepped into the dimly lit house, the atmosphere of the graduation party enveloped me. Laughter and chatter filled my ears, while people in their late teens and early 20s mingled, sipping drinks and reminiscing about their high school and college years. I felt like a stranger here, a friend of a friend, and I really didn't know anyone. My buddy, Mark, had invited me, assuring me that it was going to be a great time. He had an uncanny knack for disappearing at gatherings like this, though, leaving me awkwardly to just navigate the landscape on my own. As I wandered through the crowd, I stumbled upon a small group of people huddled around a game of Truth or Dare. I thought this was a little strange since I hadn't played Truth or Dare since I was in middle school, but I have to say I was intrigued, so I joined them and introduced myself. The game seemed to be the perfect icebreaker, and my turn came quickly, and I just said Dare, confidently, hoping to make an impression. One of the girls, with this mischievous grin, mischievous? Dude, this fucking word sucks. I hate this fucking word. Mischievous. Saying it so many times as mischievous dog has like confused me into thinking it's mischievous. Dude, it just sounds incorrect. Mischievous sounds way better, dude. Can we get that changed? With this mischievous dog grin. One of the girls with this mischievous grin dared me to explore the abandoned house at the end of the street. Judging by her look, I thought that I was going to get dared something much more interesting, like kiss somebody or something like that. Exploring an abandoned house was not something I found objectively scary, but I could tell by the gasps and glares that this house had a notorious reputation among the locals here. Now, not wanting to lose face, I agreed, and a small group of partygoers decided to tag along for the adventure. As we approached this this Omnibot house, both correct, one just sounds better. I don't think mischievous is correct, though, because anytime I've ever looked it up, the pronunciation is always mischievous. But in my head, I just want to say mischievous. As we approached the ominous-looking house, I couldn't help but feel a shiver down my... As we approached the ominous-looking house, I couldn't help but feel chills. The dark windows and overgrown yard gave the place this really just sinister vibe. It looked like every cliché abandoned horror movie you've ever seen in any movie or show. And I hesitated for a moment, but the laughter and jeers from my new companions pushed me forward. We pried open the front door and stepped into the darkness. The air was stale, and a thick layer of dust covered everything. Our flashlights illuminated the interior, revealing walls covered in peeling paint and the remains of once pretty elegant furniture. At first, I was fascinated by this place. I had this weird fascination with abandoned things. For me, there was a strange beauty in the history of something that had just been forgotten by time. I looked around some more, and I could tell that people that came with me were terrified. One girl, named Chantel, was draped on my arm as if though she had known me her whole life. Two other guys, whom I can't remember their names, just sort of followed behind me in an extremely tense fashion. Part of the dare was that we had to explore the house and then stay inside for at least 10 minutes, which, again, seemed like nothing to me. We made our way to this gorgeous-looking back room with all wooden interiors and this high cathedral-like ceiling. The room appeared to be some sort of study or office when the house was in use. Books, desks, and a few couches were scattered throughout the room. I told the group that we could sit here for the next few minutes and wait out the clock. Reluctantly, though, they all agreed. While we sat there, I asked why everyone was so afraid of this house. Grandma with the 14 Canadian maple syrup dollars says, "Congrats on 1 million, Papa Joel. You deserve it." Thank you, Grandma. Appreciate you. Thank you. And I'm glad you guys could be with me as we hit that milestone. It's wild. Swiled. Absolutely swiled. While we sat there, I asked why everyone was so afraid of this house. One of the guys started to tell this story. He said in a shaky and terrified voice, "I'm not exactly sure how long ago, maybe 30 years or so, a couple lived here. They sent their kids to some boarding school, and while the kids were away, the wife went nuts and murdered her husband. When the cops came, the woman was just sitting in the house, probably in this room, holding the gun in like a trance-like state. And the cops arrested her immediately. Nobody knows what happened to her after that, or whatever happened to the kid. But judging by the actions of the woman, people think the house is haunted. Like an evil presence lives inside the house, causing the wife to do that to her husband." I must admit, I enjoyed the story, but I audibly laughed out loud when the kid told me the story. I couldn't help but think of movies like Amityville Horror or any other number of possession movies. I could tell the group was a little annoyed at me, but I didn't want to come across as the young person who tried to diffuse tension and anxiety with laughter, but I truly felt that this was all just ridiculous. I tried to be as polite as I could, but basically told the group that I don't believe in any supernatural or paranormal stuff and just told them not to worry. With about 2 minutes left on our timer, I suggested that we go wait by the front door. Just as we approached the main hallway that leads to the front door, I stopped abruptly. The group was paralyzed. Chantel whimpered out, "What is it? Why'd you stop?" And I couldn't believe what I had seen. Just up ahead, I saw this person moving from one room to another. My brain tried to rationalize what was happening. My first thought was that somebody from the grad party had come in and was trying to play some joke on the younger guy. I told the group I saw somebody, and they became hysterical with fear, begging to go back into the room. I decided to prove to everyone once and for all that ghosts and demons don't exist, and that if this was a prank, they weren't going to scare me. I approached the room that I saw the person run into. I busted through the doorway and shouted, "Hey, I know you're in there." Without hesitation, from the dark corner of the room, the person ran right at me. I shouted, falling out of the way,
and in that same instance, the closet door swung open and 2 other people ran out of the room. I got up and looked as the 3 figures ran down the hall into the main room and barreled through the front door. I could hear the screams and shouts from my peers that remained outside, and I got up and grabbed my group and we ran outside next to confirm to the other partygoers that we were okay and unharmed. When we were outside, we could see those figures way out in the distance, still sprinting. Our adrenaline was through the roof as we collectively tried to catch our breath from this horrific experience. I went back inside and inspected the room where I saw the person run from originally. There were cans and empty bags of chips and candy. It became clear right away that these shadowy figures were not entities, but just some homeless folks who were squatting in the house. Even with that logical explanation, it didn't make the experience any less scary. Several months later, I had to write a paper for a college class, and I decided to look up some information about the house. I was surprised by just how accurate the story was that the partygoers told me. A woman did murder her husband in the house, and as far as I know, she's still locked up somewhere and still alive. To anyone who reads this, though, or hears this on Let's Read, there's no demons or evil spirits. This was the unfortunate outcome of a couple in a poor mental state whose brains were just not wired correctly, and the outcome was horrific. And these are the types of stories the tall tales are born from. Alright. And these are the types of stories the tall tales are born from, and it's easy to see why. I will say some good came out of that graduation party that Mark took me to all those years ago. I started to date that Chantel person I told you about, not her real name, but several months after we explored the house, and now, after everything is said and done, we're actually engaged to be married. So not only did this graduation party give me an exciting and thrilling memory that I'll always have, It always introduced me What the fuck are they talking about? Life is strange. Lovely T, thank you for the gifted membership to Dick Nixon. You now have access to bonus content, and thank you, lovely. So, not only did this graduation party give me an exciting thrill and memory that I'll always have, it also introduced me to my future wife. Life sometimes, my friends, can be strange. When the grammar doesn't grammar. Really bad grammar. Alright, I think that was 7 of 7. But we do have to read the outro. Did I do a poll tonight? I don't know. What should the poll be? I didn't read your donation, Klaus. I'm sorry. Oh, there it is. Sorry. Klaus with the 2 says, let's weed with let's read Chill's voice perfect outro. Wait, what? Let's weed with let's read Chill's voice perfect outro. Like, thanks so much, friend. And remember, let's weed. Is that what you want? I'm confused. Photographer stories. Oh, that would be interesting. I know people have sent in stuff related to or while doing photography. That would be cool. Do you boogie or woogie? Do you hit the gwitty? You're suffering from FOMO. What are you FOMOing? There's no FOMO here. There's a vaccine for FOMO.
Let's read this outro, shall we? Hey friends, thanks for listening. Click that notification bell to be alerted of all future narrations. I release new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and there are super fun live streams every Sunday, Tuesday, and Thursday night. I'd love to see you there. If you got a story, be sure to submit them to my subreddit r/letsreadofficial or send it over email at letsreadsubmissions@gmail.com, and you might even hear your story featured on the next video. And if you want to support me even more, grab early access to all future narrations and bonus content over on Patreon, or click that big join button over here on YouTube that gives you all the crazy perks that you can check out for the channel. And check out the Let's Read podcast, where you can hear all of these stories and big compilations and save huge on data, located anywhere you listen to podcasts. Links in the description below. Thanks so much, friend. And remember, let's read on weed. I don't know about that. Dick Nixon with the 10. Thank you, Dickie. Dickie Doodah. Coming in hot. I gotta do that. Thanks so much, friends. And remember, thanks for being a friend. Thanks for being a friend. Oh yeah, didn't somebody want me to read like some revenge stories from Reddit or some shit? Or some shit. Some of that shit. Lay Reddit.crumb Pro Revenge. Is that a thing? Didn't someone say Pro Revenge? Reddit? Oh, is it gonna let me on? Oh, it does. Okay, cool. Nuclear Revenge. John Stewart from Half Baked, man, that was a long time ago. Pro Revenge? Let's see. I had a member of staff try to force himself to press charges that didn't sit right with me. Former manager made my life. Oh. Former manager ends my job at a company I love to help end his fucking life. I cut his throat. Oh, yikes. Let's read that one. Nuclear threat is better. Alright, we'll read from there too. Nuclear Revenge. Don't kill your neighbor's dogs. Let's not read that one. Town forced to bulldoze new after building. Alright, interesting. Alright, we got two of them here. Can you hear me all right? I got my mic in a little bit of a different spot. Bonus footage. Here we go. Here we snow. I was desperate to join a new job after my husband and I were both laid off last year. When I was offered a new role, I knew it would be a step down from what I was doing, but the manager and the team seemed great, and that part has not changed. However, since my manager Gary was so busy, he basically offloaded me to another manager, Jane. I was supposed to be the connection point between the team and Jane, but it quickly became Jane micromanaging me. She would ask me to work through lunch, move/cancel vacation days, call at 11 p.m. on weekends, and order me around on phone calls. She also made nasty comments about my weight and said that I was big for my race. The list of personal slights so long that it filled 3 pages. I would talk back to her, and she didn't like that, and that provoked her more. I only stayed because we needed to pay the bills. And finally, I had a mental breakdown on a Friday afternoon after she yelled at me for something trivial about scheduling a meeting without including someone from her team who I didn't even know about. I was dealing with a family tragedy and couldn't take it anymore. I told Gary about the situation with Jane, and he's sympathetic and not at all surprised considering half her team quit.
He immediately offered to move me to a different team under him, and I was thrilled. Well, it turns out going to the new team didn't help. Jane continued to order me around from afar. When I ignored her email, she came to the desk one day and started loudly talking about how I'm not qualified for this role. Gary overheard and finally told her off, but the verbal abuse didn't stop. After 2 months there, I abruptly wrote my resignation letter and stapled the list of Jane's offensive comments and CC'd everyone. Gary offered a bunch of accommodations to try to keep me, but seeing how she was still provoking from afar, I said the only way for me to stay would be for her to go, and he didn't have the authority to let her go. Her manager was in a different country, and despite several HR complaints from at least 5 people, nothing was done. So I left, loudly and without shame, telling everyone exactly why I was leaving. Times were very bad for 3 months. There were nights we'd eat slices of bread just so we could pay the mortgage and emergency expenses from a health crisis and a funeral. Even after he found a job, we were still catching up on bills, and still are. I spent months applying to 5 to 10 roles per day, sometimes over 20. Last month, I saw a public memo about a big shot from a former company joining the company I just left. I used to work with this guy closely, and I texted him congrats, let him know if he needed any insights on the new place. We had a quick call where I told him some ins and outs where I thought that they could innovate. After this call, he asked me to join the team as his chief of staff, and I accepted. Imagine Jane's shock when we had our first all-hands call. All the VPs and above were asked to welcome the new Big Shot in the Giants conference room. In Big Shot's speech, he breezed over that I'll be his chief of staff, along with a few key names. I now sat 2 levels above Jane, and apparently within the 3 months I was not there, the other half of her team turned over. Every single person left. Gary was excited for me and said all nice things. However, Jane took the classless route and sent Big Shot an email about how she's going to kill me and cut my scalp off, and how I'm unqualified, and that I used to work for her, and how I tried to get her fired, and that she suspects I lied to get ahead. She didn't even try to be fake nice. Big Shot forwarded her email and asked what that was all about. I was nervous and excited. Little did Jane know I was a director at Big Shot's competitor company, was already a level above her, so 2 levels isn't a big leap, and I worked with him for 5 years. I had an hour call with Big Shot and told him that she was bad for the company culture and was a nasty person in general. But the evidence he needed was Gary confirming that her whole team had turned over, my prior resignation letter, which was still sitting on the desktop when logged in upon return, and a few other nasty emails she sent, her recent stuff, which they were happy to share with us. Big Shot killed Jane, set her up in a firing squad, and over 50 bullets went into her chest, and she died on a Friday. Revenge is sweet. Alright, cool. Anyways. Read me! Read me, Daddy! Count to 4 using a vampire voice. A 1, a 2, a 3, blah, blah, a 4, a 4. Sarah TR with the 5s. Was that a feet reveal in yesterday's cartoon? Oh yeah, my feet were in there. They were stinky. They were freshly covered in buttersock juices. They were dripping. Fucking flying away from those ancient, decrepit beasts trying to keep me from my golden play button. She was literally terminated. Count and Chill's voice. 1, a 2, a 3, a 4. How many legs to the center of a Tootsie Pop? Crunch, 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 crunch. Okay, sorry. At the end of World War II, thousands of troops were headed home, starting new families, and wanted to move out of the city. There was a major housing boom all around the country. People couldn't move out of the cities fast enough, and developers could not build homes fast enough. There was a ton of money to be made in the construction business, which led to some underhanded building practices. One such practice was starting construction before the land acquisition was finalized. Enter my grandfather, G. After serving as a pilot during the war, he came home to a very different town. When my G went off to fight in 1942, the town that he described leaving was tired and worn down. But to his amazement, The town he saw stepping off the train in 1948 was anything but. Newly paved roads, a traffic light, and new homes. New homes that just went on and on. He actually got lost on his way back to the family farm due to the main town road being rerouted while he was away. But what took him by surprise the most was the new development being built on his childhood friend John's tree farm. This was surprising to him, mainly because he knew how much the farm meant to John and his family. The farm went back at least 2 generations, but my G just guessed that the developer made John's family an offer too good to refuse. However, that thought was shot down later that evening during his welcome home dinner back home. It was my great-grandmother who tipped him off that something was off. He couldn't recall exactly what she said, but it was something along the lines of, "Oh, I just wish John was still alive to be here." My G nearly choked, not because of the news, but because John was not dead. He was still in Hawaii. My G had gotten a postcard from him not but 4 days before. It turns out while John was off in the Navy fighting in the Pacific Theater, John's dad had suffered a stroke and passed away, and his mother passed away less than a week later from a broken heart. More than likely, John was never informed of their passing, and now 20-plus homes were being built on their land. My G about ran out of the house, jumped in his father's Model T, and raced down into town to send one bombshell of a telegraph to John in Hawaii. "John, your folks pass. Farm now being built on. Come quick. G." My G never got a response back. He figures that John must have fainted from shock, then jumped up and ran to the Navy base to get on the first boat home. And because he was back home in less than 4 days, and he was mad. According to my G, when he burst through the doors of the mayor's office, everyone in the room looked like they were about to drop dead. The poor desk clerk was fumbling over his words, trying to talk to John. Then the mayor came out of his office to see what all the commotion was about. As soon as he saw John, he went white as a sheet, then ran back into his office and locked the door. Getting nowhere at the mayor's office, John went to the next town over and hired a lawyer. What followed was a 7-year court case that ended in the mayor being sentenced to 8 years in jail and the developer going bankrupt. Turns out that after John's parents passed away, John wasn't able to be contacted for some reason and was just assumed dead. So when an out-of-state developer wanted to build homes in the area, the mayor just permitted them to start building on John's farm for a hefty kickback. Of course. Also, because of John's lawsuit, the developer couldn't finish the pre-sold homes, which ended up in more lawsuits. In the end, the mayor and the developer in the town ended up having to pay John close to $45,000 total, which is over $752,000 today, and then the farm had to be returned to its prior condition. To say John was happy would be a vast understatement. Today, John's tree farm is a nature reserve, and the story of the corrupted mayor is all but forgotten except by a few locals. John passed away in 1999. My G has been back to his hometown a few times to visit his grave and to check on the old tree farm. Thanks for reading. I'm sorry if it reads rough. Writing is not my strong point, but this tale of revenge was just too good not to post. Oh, shit. We did it. We fucking did it, mate. Feet are integral. They carry our weight and bring us places. Feet should be on every nation's flag. Well, guys, thank you again for the amazing support as always. Appreciate you. Once again, if you enjoyed yesterday's music video and you want to go check out the individual song, it's called Thanks a Millie, and it should be up on streaming services soon, but if you want to listen to it individually and not just in that YouTube video, though that does help too, you can go to the Let's Read Clips channel, which is basically a channel with a bunch of my clips on it from different stories, and I would love if you subscribed over there and checked out those videos and stuff. Yeah, Leslie, there's a music video prior to the last video, the Reddit stories, in case anyone missed it, but it also exists as its own thing at the beginning, or on Let's Read Clips as well. So
It's like a Lil Wayne, it's a remix. Thanks a milli. It's quite a bit of a remix though. But guys, thank you so much once again for 1 million subscribers. It's crazy. Now we're just on to fucking 2, you know what I mean? The grind don't stop. But as usual, I will get these stories up and edited over on Patreon. It's only $1 a month over there for early access to the audio, and it always goes up there first. Otherwise, you can follow me on Twitter at Let's Read Creepy, Instagram at Let's Read.official, and we're just cruising. It is Thursday night, at least for me. It's about 1 in the morning, going on Friday. So I should be back on Sunday for another live stream. But if you ever want to be hit with a notification, be sure to hit the bell on here on YouTube. But if you don't get anything there, be sure to follow me on Twitter, because you always get notified over there. You know, whenever you hit the stream dropped. Oh, it died. Strange. I guess it's kind of good timing. It's it's buffering.
Oh, you can hear again?
Can you hear me? Joel did overtime today. Drop for a few seconds back. Okay. Yeah, just end the stream out of nowhere. But yeah, guys, thank you again. Thank you for a fucking 1 million subscribers. That's just like such an abnormal thing to think about, you know? I don't know. It's just like so odd. I remember going to like this like Japanese restaurant with some coworkers and stuff, and like looking back at my one video where I read a Wikipedia page about like Jamaican patois, where I was like reading about the patois language of Jamaicans. I don't know if that video is still up or not, but I remember that one got like 1,000 views in like, you know, a short period of time, and I was like, oh, dude, this video got 1,000 views and stuff. And I don't know, I just remember like all the different times like talking about this channel, you know, and like people not really taking it very seriously, or just kind of like, oh, it's a nice hobby, you know, kind of thing. And I don't know, I'm just excited. I don't know, it's just like so weird to look back on those memories. I remember like, you know, working night shifts, but like not getting much sleep and trying to like wake up so I can record a video like prior to going to work, and just being so fucking run down trying to like do my full-time job, including this. It was just, but I'm thankful I stuck with it, because, you know, now it's my thing. Joel's ready to retire. Yeah, well, 1 million subscribers, I better just get out of here forever now. It definitely was a grind, yeah, and I don't know, just crazy, stumbling upon the creepypasta community, reaching out to like as many people as I possibly could to be like, hey, do you want to collab, and just like very seldom getting responses from anybody. I remember there's this one guy, he was like in the creepypasta community, and he had like 5,000 subscribers, and he had like kind of like a zombified Squirtle avatar as like his avatar. And I remember him saying like, well, you'll soon bypass me in subscribers, everyone always does, or something like that. It just sounded so melancholy, but like he was nice enough to let me, I forget his name though, but I remember King Spook was like one of the first people ever to like let me collab, and basically he liked my voice so much that he let me like do a whole fucking video on his channel, like a whole like 30 minutes narration, just as a standalone video on his channel. And I remember getting like 300 subscribers and just shitting my pants. I was so excited. God, it's so weird to think like I've been doing this almost a fucking decade. Like almost a decade doing, it's just weird, you know? It's a strange existence, you know what I mean? It's very socially isolating, I guess, because I definitely feel like I'm not like socially stunted per se, but like I just feel as if though, you know, like whenever you're in work, you're working and stuff, you meet people through work and all that kind of stuff, and like whenever you work from home, it's like hard to just like make those sort of natural connections and shit. But I really wouldn't change it for anything, because this is just a dream. It feels like a dream in many ways. You're socially stunted friend, I appreciate that. No, you guys are all cool. Y'all cool. Here, give me a dab. Dab me up. A decade is a lot. I'm hitting a 0 year soon. It's crazy. Yeah. Do I ever accidentally talk in my narration voice? I think so. I think sometimes when talking to someone I'll be, that's interesting. You know, like just to see if they notice or whatever, but it's not I'm not like cringe about it, I guess. But I don't know. What do I do? I think that's the weirdest thing, is just like you almost have to like just dream up an existence, you know, in life. You almost just have to like come up with some random shit in your head that you want to go do, and then just go like figure out a game plan to go do it. I think that's the hardest thing, is figuring out game plans and executing as such. Joel manifested this, yeah. I remember an ex-radio guy was working at Fazoli's. That's cool. Fazoli sounds kind of tasty, though. Use my narration voice while flirting. I don't know. I don't know if it would actually work or not. Hey, how you doing? I astral projected this, yeah. Directly onto the screen. Oh, shit. I don't know. Hopefully Robin will have the TikTok screen going soon, and we can just react to some... I mean, I could probably just do that without fucking a screen, you know? Just share... fucking, I don't know, we could just watch videos and react to it and talk about it and laugh or some shit. It'd be pretty funny. Oh shit, but either way, guys, thank you so much for everything, seriously. Just weird looking back on it all. Thankful to everyone that helped me along the way to get there, and thankful to you guys to just continue to support it. And yeah, if you ever have any ideas for just where to go next, you know, I'm always, my butthole is always open. So, all right, friends, I love you, appreciate you, and I should be back Sunday. Here, let me check. Am I back Sunday? Let me ask the boss. Just kidding. I'm wondering my last... Oh, that was 2. Yeah. So this Sunday I should be back, and we'll be Gucci on that shit. So, all right. I'll see you then. Have a fantastic evening or day wherever you are in the world. Kisses and smooches. Bye-bye. Ta-ta. Ta-ta for now.